I'm here with Bonk, the one of the halves of the Brony Fan Don't Twitter account and Blue Sky account. Is there any other accounts that run under Brony Fan Don't? Is it just the Twitter and Blue Sky?
Yeah, it's just the Twitter and Blue Sky, and also it's just me on the accounts now.
It's just you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it used to be for a few months there. Sophie also had access.
Mm.
Um, it is currently just me.
Is there any reason why she's no longer running it currently, or?
It is. I realize now that people can interpret that in many different ways. There's no bad blood, and I didn't like hack my way back in. Sorry, I'm already messing up.
No,
I
it's
didn't want
fine.
to go into this because I didn't want because people tend to take this as Sophie shouldn't have done this, and they like to give their strong opinions on that. But I was given the account back,
Mm-hmm.
and I whatever people's take on that is, I don't think Sophie is doing something worth demonizing her over.
Right, right. It's just I'll interpret it that as more of a it's less confusing I think for an audience if it was just one person rather than the two of you, you know, like adding your correspondence to the account kind of thing.
Yeah, and also Sophie really just wanted to focus on the Black Griffin situation. Neither one of us really wanted to cover the other one because we weren't in a great place to balance multiple things, and
Mhm.
then we kind of got roped into that anyways, and it
Right.
escalated.
Yeah, and as we go along I have questions that we can touch on that in more detail. But I
Well,
guess I suppose if we're already here and we're introducing you as the owner of the account, I should ask as my first question, how was the Brony fan account created and what was it originally used for? Because I know that it's been around for like a while.
so originally it was a role-playing account, back years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I came into the Brony fandom in summer of 2011. I don't remember exactly what age. I think it was maybe 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm currently 28. My birthday's in December,
Mm-hmm.
so go back to summer 2011 if anyone wants to do the math, and you could piece together. But
Okay.
I got into the show after seeing a lot of people on the internet talking about it, and then I stumbled across other people on Twitter doing Twitter ponies, which was a whole role playing community where people would pick a character, either an OC or a canon character, and play as them. It was a safer work role playing scene. However, I was young and dumb, and as I was playing Screwball, who is a character that who was in the background, she was like a gag character.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever this chaotic character Discord came in, she would kind of like spawn in as this. It was seemingly she was part of his power. I don't want to explain the continuity of the show. It doesn't matter, but
Right.
I'm just trying to explain the account.
Basically, they're paired
So
together often, kind of thing.
yeah, so she's this wacky character is what I'm trying to get at.
Gotcha.
So I was just playing her as this uh loner but upbeat loner that wants to go around town and make friends. And then I got into some situations early on where I was very happy whenever anyone would interact with me. And when a account that didn't follow any of the even rules of the format, which was usually you'd have MLP underscore character name.
Mm-hmm.
This person went by like Gamer Brony 4677 whatever. I don't remember the numbers, but it was very obviously not uh someone who was following everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to be like the boyfriend of Screwball, and I was just happy to interact with someone. So I kind of went along with it, and it went to places that Claire has later screenshotted.
Mm-hmm.
As like I put the message like, oh, because they were role playing like, oh, is this even okay? Like you're a younger character, uh, in character. I'm sorry, I'm bad at
No, it's
interviews, I
okay.
guess.
It's fine. I mean, I am too, so we're equally on the same footing of like being bad at things.
All right, perfect. Um, I responded and in that screenshot that people have seen, oh, age is just a number.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to have the context that is often left out that I was barely a teenager and
Mm-hmm.
I was also playing a character that I wouldn't like. I don't agree with the character and I wouldn't do that today. I think the entire like interactions with this random OC being the boyfriend of this character is kind of just cringe in general, and I regret that. But you know, I'm. It's been more than 14 years since then.
Right.
Uh,
I mean, was Screwball ever depicted as like a younger character? Was that the problem, or?
yes and no. In the show, it's not explicit, but in the fandom, she was given like this persona of being like a younger character, like the young daughter of Discord, which is also not entirely canon. Like it's implied that she's only ever there when he's doing wacky shenanigans. So
Right.
the implication is that maybe she's part of what he does, which would lead the fandom to make her the daughter of Discord. So, um, I did play her as a younger character, but it was never meant to be in any way sexual.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that it didn't happen because I liked the attention that I was getting at the time, and I went along with things that from all aspects, I regret, not just because of what was said, but because it was just kind of cringe in general.
Yeah, and I mean, you know how the Brony fandom is, right? Like when it comes
I
to
do.
the morality of that particularly, they don't really bat an eye at it. They're like, well, this is fandom shit. This is just what people do, kind of thing. Like the Brony fandom was very not, from what I've come to understand talking to other bronies, it was very much like non-drama. Like they're very anti-drama. So if anything were to stir up
Yeah.
any problems, or like, let's just pretend that that's not there, kind of thing. So like I
Love
can.
and tolerate was a slogan that people would throw around a lot. And I
Mhm.
think it actually led to people putting up with things and not wanting to be angry at people over very serious things.
True. I mean, that could all get like lumped in, right? It's just like, oh, this sounds very petty, but when everything sounds petty, some serious shit can like seep through the cracks essentially.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, because that was one of the things that like I saw that was just like that's very interesting. But I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt on that because I'm just like I don't know how old he is and I don't know how old he was when these screenshots were taken, kind of thing. But
Yeah, I think I was 14 at the time.
okay,
I,
so
I did have the account much longer than that, and Screwball went on. Eventually, I got out of that specific situation and then played her straight as like the kid around town that was just wholesome.
right.
But that was at the start of it, and uh, I never tried to like hide that past. It's just that I didn't. I was a kid basically.
Yeah. I mean, do you think that, like, in retrospect, with how you conduct the account now, that, like, having that back catalog probably doesn't exactly make you look very presentable?
Um, Not really, honestly. I was initially going to create a new account to do this from. And I guess I'll have to explain what doing this means in a bit. But I was initially going to make a new account, but then I decided to go with retooling the Screwball account because I haven't used it in years, as well as I feel like people don't take things seriously unless they feel like this person has notoriety. So they'll see a number and go, okay, this is someone that is worth listening to. It's not just rando on Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
even though it very much still is rando on Twitter.
Sure.
That's not to dismiss the things I'm saying, but I am just a random person on Twitter. And I don't think that makes me more or less qualified to give information. What is or isn't qualified is what the information actually entails.
Right, right. And I mean, let's think of it like this way. Like, making a whole new Twitter account means having to make a whole new email and then having to set all that up. And given how, like, Twitter is, especially now, like, it's just like, if you already have an old account on the sideline, you might as well just use that instead of having to go through the fucking hassle.
Yeah,
So,
that's exactly what happened.
so for
And
simplicity's sake, kind of thing.
yeah, but also I already had thousands of followers on the account, and I knew that people would see that and take it more seriously than if it was a zero. Um, that's not me trying to manipulate. It's just me wanting to get the message out
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that people can sometimes look over things that shouldn't be looked over.
Right. So, how did you come to learn about the Black Griffin's story? And to kind of coincide with that question, when did you first meet Sophie Shrugs? What were your guys' first contact like?
Well, that is much later into the initial question.
Okay, so
I
we'll
did
start with the
not know
first one.
Sophie. Okay.
We'll start with the first one then.
Um, I was, I basically grew up in the fandom, and I knew of Black Griffin and all other party members that would become part of this, since very early on when they all started doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I was a fan for the most part of all of them. I was at Brony's React panels at cons, sometimes when I was there. Um, I've met each of them prior, mostly just for a picture, not like a huge conversation or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And even as recent as 2019, the last BronyCon, I was still a fan of Gabriel. I saw him and Michelle performing on stage, and then come 2020, he was making some posts on Twitter uh, in regards to the BLM uh, civil rights movement, and I started to think, hey, this is not what I'd expect from him,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not really cool with it. So I'm gonna tell him that, and uh, trying to tell him that that's not okay didn't really go anywhere. He didn't seem to care.
Oh,
Um,
what did exactly did he say? Was it just like a no, like, was the perspective like a no lives matter kind of thing? Like, you know how that is.
a lot of it's screenshotted and cited in the Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I could pull it up. I just don't want to like
I mean, I could do it too, I suppose. I
uh,
don't know if it's still
I don't
in
want to
my save.
misquote because people like to take anything I slightly say out of, you know, and use it. Sorry, I keep
No, it's
saying
fine. I
like
got it
and
pulled up.
.
Yeah, I know, it's fine. I got it pulled up. Is it under this one? Okay, I'm seeing like his likes of Candace Owens stuff. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think the document creator has changed the tabs again.
Oh, has it? Okay.
Um, okay, racism and transphobia is the section.
Yeah, is it racism
Um,
by definition is hating someone simply because of the color, or assuming that because someone is of a certain color, they're not deserving of rights? White marginalization may be harder to come by in America now, but millions of white Europeans were enslaved in the 1700s. Is that what we're talking about?
yes, and a few others. His likes, his retweets, and things he specifically said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's more that he said at the time that aren't here. I don't know if that's because the document didn't the document maker didn't put it in there, or if those are lost to time.
Right.
But he he, he had a whole thread of him talking and going back and forth with other users too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some of them black themselves, where he would argue that white people have been slaves, so therefore it's the same. When people tried to explain to him that white people were not slaves because they were white people, they were slaves because getting humans to do things by force is a evil but easier thing to do, while black people were usually chosen because they were seen as lesser and only as like work fodder.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't seem to care about that aspect. And he would say, and he said things like 90% of racism isn't real, but he does believe it is a thing 10% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's not in the document. I'm noticing that now.
Yeah. Well, I kind of
I
like
sorry.
attribute, it's okay, I kind of attribute a lot of this maybe to perhaps like a because you know how like anti-SJW, I could speak on this personally because I was in that field when I was like 16 years old. You know how like the anti-SJW movements with the skeptics and shit like that got really big, and like it became
Mhm.
kind of like this cannon fodder thing for the last since like 2016 up to like 2020 kind of thing, and then it kind of like
Yeah,
completely died out during COVID. That's what I kind of attribute a lot of this to, is maybe just like maybe he had a spint of an anti SJW phase or whatever the fuck.
I I don't believe so because he has never retracted any of this. He's never made comments against these beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all of his more progressive comments that Billy Bustup's document tried to lift up were more like good sounding but pretty neutral and on and vague.
Mm-hmm.
Like people should be nice to each other, stuff like that.
Right.
It's not exactly going against what he believed here. I
Mm-hmm.
think he just wised up to saying it online.
Yeah, being more open about it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, like I more so just based on the judgment of like I don't like doing that whole guilt by association thing. That's why I actually like talk to people. I completely agree. Like some of the likes are concerning just because I don't like Candace Owens particularly. And that Zuby guy I don't like at all. Like I get it. Like, but at the same time, like I see a Twitter like as more of just like sometimes when people like things on Twitter, they don't really think about it. They just like, oh, that's a creator I like, and whatever they scroll. I would know this because like that was what my Twitter likes look like. It's just liking a bunch of random shit that I saw on my
Mhm.
feed sometimes. So I mean,
I mean,
maybe you're
these
right, but
correspond to what he was posting. Like he was
right.
not only liking multiple posts from these same people at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
all saying the same kind of spiel about like how uh the right is being like oppressed and how all these other like conspiracy theory kind of deals.
Right.
But he was also going along with what he was saying himself at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he would also defend it whenever called out on it.
Right.
He
Right.
doesn't respond to much anymore, but
Mm-hmm.
he at the time he would respond to everyone.
Right. Well, I mean, I can sort of understand that. Like, if you make a point online, sometimes you get very defensive and you kind of double down and feel like
Mhm.
it's your responsibility to respond to absolutely everybody who disagrees. So you can be like stand on principle. But you know how Twitter is. It's like, is that really worth it? Again, in the end, is that really worth the fucking struggle? You
I
know.
mean, I can agree with that because I've learned that
Mm-hmm.
um, if someone is going to think one thing, going back and forth with them isn't always going to change
Their
anything.
mind.
It depends on
Yeah.
who you're talking to.
Right.
And I got into a lot of back and forth with people
Mm-hmm.
that were never going to go anywhere, no matter what was said.
Yeah. So let's talk about Sophie real quick. You said you didn't meet her until like way after you started doing this kind of on your own.
Yes.
So what was the thought process in letting them kind of co-sign the account?
So after I started calling Griffin out on my main account, not Brony Fandom, it didn't exist at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it did, but it was still the screwball account that I wasn't using.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I I was even still on the side of like him and his situation with Claire is weird, but I wouldn't consider it grooming myself. And I was saying stuff like that while calling his racism like unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that led to the conversation that where Claire joked about wanting to be groomed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which then um spiraled into me wanting to get consequences for not just him, but for other bronies that were doing crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Nazism is a huge problem in the fandom.
As I've
I don't
heard.
think, yeah, I don't
That's
think
so weird.
Gabriel is a Nazi. He is, I believe, a racist, but I don't believe he's a Nazi. There are many legitimate, outwardly facing Nazis in the fandom, though. And I think under the love and tolerate slogan, people find telling someone they can't have a pony with a swastika cutie mark as
Jesus.
more drama. Like that, you can't yell at someone for that. They're not being mean to you. They're just making a Nazi horse.
What the fuck?
That's the mentality that a lot of the fandom had. Yeah, but it gets me that reaction where I go, "What the fuck is happening? This needs to stop."
Right.
Um, so I see like some of the biggest faces in the fandom siding with a lot of this stuff, like Prince whatever doing collaborations with a very outward popular Nazi in the fandom. And I
Just
go,
just the term popular Nazi is insane.
yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
No, that's the thing. In the fandom, they act like it's not.
Oh,
But if you go
well,
outside of that bubble, it is very insane.
yeah.
And that's why I felt like I was going insane and that I had to do more. So that's why I did more. I
Mm-hmm.
made an account with the intent to call out all of this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I was saying, like Prince whatever was collabing with someone, and initially, instead of just calling him out, I tried talking to him, messaging him. Other people even tried DMing him. He would stop responding when that topic came up. He would just drop the conversations. He knew what was happening. We tried to get him to know, and then he would ignore anyone trying to bring it to his attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so then I started calling him out on my main account, and I called other people out, including Gabriel on my main account, and it always kind of got too cluttered.
Right.
If I made a thread about someone and then I kept using my main account for whatever personal stuff, posting artwork I got or memes or whatever, it would get lost. So I decided it needed to go somewhere where it could be isolated, where someone could sift through it all and it wouldn't be lost in a sea of whatever random shit I'm posting.
Right.
So I made the Brony Fandom account. Um, I I don't remember if Gabriel was the first person I even talked about on there. I think it might have been Tara Strong.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't remember. He might have been the first. It might have been Tara Strong. It might have been someone else. I can't entirely remember. But he was very easily the most like popular topic because there was so much surrounding him that even then, when I didn't have all the information I do now, he had the most controversial things to talk about
Mm-hmm.
already.
Right.
Um, and people latched on to that. Because the more information you give, the more there is to talk about, which isn't a good or bad thing. It makes sense. I do feel like a lot of people just want drama, and
Mm-hmm.
I try to avoid giving them that. I do really just want people to see what's going on and understand to stay the fuck away.
Yeah.
Um, but a lot of people do want. I know I'm going on a separate tangent. I'll stop that.
Well, I get what you're saying. People want the spectacle more than they do
Yeah.
the story. I can
Uh,
absolutely see that for sure.
and I don't want to give into the spectacle. Sometimes I need to. Sometimes I'd make posts joking about the situation because I want people's attention to stay on it.
Hmm.
But I never really have the intention of making it into like a parade. Like we're marching through the community, cheering about how horrible this person is. I don't want it to be like that.
Hmm.
I just want more people to be informed and for the conversation to not end until actual consequences come.
Right. So let me ask you
Um,
this: what? Because you were originally calling Black Griffin out for his racism. Was the whole idea of him grooming Claire, was that like a Sophie thing when you first started talking to her and like,
no,
really?
that's the thing. I didn't even know who Sophie was even at that point. Like I
Oh, okay.
said, when I was calling him out on his racist post in 2020, I was aware of him being called a groomer by members of the fandom.
Hmm.
That wasn't related to Sophie at all. Sorry, is there background audio you're
No,
hearing on my end?
I'm grabbing stuff. I don't know if that's just me, but I don't
No,
hear
no, no.
anything
I was
from
just
you.
there's stuff happening on my end, and I'm sorry about that. I was just
Oh
making sure it
no,
wasn't being picked
I don't
up.
hear anything. You're good.
Okay, cool. Um, so I didn't know who Sophie was, and she was not the only person calling Griffin out. So I don't think that I even heard that from her, and I
Hmm.
did not know who she was at the time.
Gotcha.
Um, and then as I made the Brony fandom account and I was calling out his racist posts, I did do a bit of research and then and also Miranda Singh's situation happened. So I was a lot less lenient on what is appropriate with minors after learning all the ins and outs of that.
Right.
Um, so after seeing more of what he did with Claire and what led up to that, I learned that it wasn't okay. This was all weird. It felt
Hmm.
normal at the time because I'd grown up seeing them, like always him with all these kids always, and everyone else acted like it was pretty normal for the most part.
Right. Right.
Um, but the more I looked at it and the more other situations similar to it happened, the more I came to the conclusion that this was crazy. This was not normal, just like the Nazism. It felt normal in the fandom because we were all told it was. But it really wasn't. And
Right.
that led to me calling him out on that, and then more and more information being gathered, and then eventually, other people who had called him out in the past had reached out to me and giving me their support, but most of them were still wanting to be quiet
Hmm.
because they had been harassed into silence in the past about this stuff.
Right. And
Um,
I'm assuming Sophie was one of those people because I think she was the one that was calling it out like 5 years before the Brony fan dote was even a thing.
she was one of the people, yes. There are multiple people that had previously called him out on
Hmm.
all of this, and then went into silence about it. Um, there was her. There's two other women. I don't know their usernames because I don't know them personally, but also they weren't like popular.
Hmm.
They didn't have their own bases. Um, there was Wootmaster. There was Amy New. Um, there were a lot of different people, and
Right.
most of them had stopped because they had gotten harassed or legally threatened.
Hmm.
Um, so when I started getting traction and bringing all the information, they found it and gave me, for the most part, silent support in DM saying, "Hey, thank you for doing what you're doing. I tried to do this and it didn't go well for me. So be careful, but also I'm really glad that you're trying." And Sophie was one of those. I think she was told. about me by a friend, and they tried to like convince her to step in, but Sophie was scared to. So Sophie just DM'd me some support, but said she didn't want to get involved, which I understood and didn't try to get her involved.
Right. So, what was the goal in like working with Sophie and eventually letting her into the Brony fandom account?
I know I keep going on long stories to get to the answers to these questions, but there's a lot of like information in between that
That
I
I
feel
mean
is
that's fine.
important.
I mean whatever details I do encourage you to give me as much detail and be as open and upfront as possible.
So Sophie, like I said, didn't want to get involved. She was scared too. She had a history of getting harassed about over this situation, so she didn't want to step back into that.
Mhm.
Um, and she was going to stay away up until Destiny Doodles messaged me, gave me her story, and I asked Destiny at the time if it was okay that I share her story with two other people, uh, people that I knew would want to help and see what they could do. And Destiny was okay with that. So one of those people was Sophie, because Sophie has a lot of people that she knows, and she also has a lot of insight for a lot of this. So I wanted to tell her about this and try to get her idea of what I how I should go about this.
Mhm.
And everything that came out uh, from Destiny's story and the reaction it got brought Sophie to want to start publicly helping with this situation again because now it wasn't just Claire and Michelle who I do consider them like victims of grooming. I know a lot of people debate that, but um, at the time they don't believe that.
Mhm.
So fighting for that it wasn't something that Sophie felt was a winning battle. It wasn't felt, but this was different because I'm phrasing that wrong. But Destiny is a victim who knows she's a victim,
Mhm.
and that changes things because now Sophie was it was a trying to protect someone who needed it, someone who wanted it.
Right.
Um, so she got involved and wanted to do what she could.
Right.
Um, and then much later down the line, after the Snapchat victim came forward and other things kept happening, and just a lot of. I also had called out a Nazi convention, uh, which they don't call themselves a Nazi convention, but Mayor Fair is consistently 4chan users that also um go by the term. I'm sorry, I keep trying to explain little things
Mhm.
in this larger story, but the little things are so dense also that I keep going on. Anyways, I'd called out a Nazi convention, and that had led to me getting harassed by a lot of them. Ironically, them posting like horrible imagery of like trans people hanging themselves, and I don't know why they're sending that my way. I'm not trans, but the typical horrible 4chan right wing bullshit.
Mhm.
Um, and I had a lot on my plate. So Sophie offered to help,
Gotcha.
and I trusted Sophie after talking to her since everything that happened with Destiny. Um, so I gave her access so that she could post information, and while I just looked away from all the mentions and stuff that I had a hard time always dealing with.
Gotcha. So, was the Snapchat victim? Did they come forward the same way that Destiny did, just like DM you or something like that?
Yes.
Okay. What's your current relationship with those two, Destiny and the Snapchat victim? Like, are you guys still in contact? Have they
Yes.
been paying attention to any of this stuff recently?
They don't really have a choice. I mean, Destiny doesn't. The Snapchat victim is still anonymous, but I don't feel like she has a choice in a different way where it affects her greatly. Everything being said about everything, people dismissing the whole situation.
Right.
She's very emotionally tied to it, and it hurts when things go poorly.
Right.
And she wants some kind of closure with all this too. So they are both very aware of everything,
Gotcha.
and it affects them. So I wish people would have a little bit more tact when it came to reacting to things because
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I completely agree, and I hope them nothing but the best and everything. It's just kind of complicated with a situation like Destiny's because Destiny didn't really archive much of her experiences with Black Griffin, so
Mhm.
that's something you kind of have to take on face value. And that this is something I had to unlearn even when I was speaking to other people, right? When someone says there's no evidence for this, that's not to necessarily say they're lying. It's just the fact of the matter is that they don't have anything to present. That doesn't mean they're not telling the truth. It just means that, like, that evidence would have been nice to have, kind of thing.
No, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone here wants there to be less evidence aside from if someone is guilty.
For sure.
Um, so I have no reason to doubt Destiny. I've before I even posted anything, I looked into her accounts, her history, uh, and she doesn't have like a reputation of making things up. She has her own semi fan base that would be a problem if she were to lose. The getting into all this isn't really something that helps her. It's just something that could harm her if people were to dismiss it all.
Right.
So and it also lined up. There
Yeah.
is not really anything that goes against what she was claiming. I know people pose the fact that she got the dates not exactly right when giving a quick testimony to me in DMs um as proof that she is lying, but it's not. Like it is an accident and that happens and it's unfortunate that it wasn't airtight, but there's no reason to doubt that it was an accident. There is no like big slip up. It's just people want to give her. They don't want to give her that. They don't want to trust that. They want to find a reason to get out of this.
Right. Was like Destiny ever like close friends or anything to Sophie Shrugs? I thought I saw a tweet maybe her saying that like she at least knows Destiny pretty well, but maybe that's her other the other.
Destiny, Sophie didn't necessarily. I don't think Sophie knew Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really speak on that too much. I don't really know their personal status on this, but from what I understand, Sophie was aware of Destiny because Destiny was someone that followed Sophie and responded to a few of her posts in the past.
Okay.
But this was before Sophie was even involved publicly.
Right.
So while Destiny knew who Sophie was a lot more than Sophie knew who Destiny was, Destiny coming forward had nothing to do with Sophie. Destiny had no way of even knowing that Sophie was involved at this time.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. That's why I just thought that like I don't know how close everybody is to each other, but that's what I was just curious about. Like the closeness in relation to how you and Sophie are to everybody else, kind of thing.
Yeah, because of everything that's happened, we all do talk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before then, before all of this, I had not talked to any of them.
Gotcha. So when it came to the actual document that I pulled a copy of, the I don't know how many pages are in it now. I want to say it's like 200 or 300 pages because I know things had been added over time.
Even as recently as I believe this month, things have
Oh,
been added.
yeah. Did you have anything to do with that document's creation at all? Or do you know who had created the document if it's not you?
It is not me. I obviously a lot of the information that I had already found was used in the document because it's information.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the person who made it found citations that I did not have for a lot of it.
Gotcha.
Um, they went out of their way to find the original posts that I had previously only had screenshots of. They found extra content, more videos of things, even things that were lost because they used the Internet Archive, sorry, the Wayback Machine, and another similar service to find videos that had been deleted on either Griffin's or Michelle's or Claire's end that I believe were deleted because they are also damning.
Gotcha. So you just shared it really. You didn't have any like you didn't like contribute to it. You're not like one of the authors or anything.
There is only one author, and it is the person who has access to the editing of the doc. I can't edit the doc. Sophie can't edit the doc. The person who made it, she's the only one who's able to access it. And it's
Okay.
no one that anyone is going to guess because it's not someone with a lot of state. It's not someone who's been very present publicly on any of this.
Okay.
Um, and Claire had a guess as to who it was, and as she posted under Jenny Nicholson's posts, and that person is not who the author is.
Gotcha. Let's talk about Michelle and Claire for a second, since they are related to all this. You've had a lot of online interactions with Michelle and Claire. What are your motivations in talking to them and like going back and forth with them online?
I tried to not, honestly. Originally, I was only presenting information about Black Griffin to the public, and that's what how I ran Brony Fando. And before that, I tried to get people in Gabriel's proximity to know what he did on my main account, which led to me responding to Saber Spark talking about Gabriel Brown getting a copyright strike
Mm-hmm.
or something. There's some YouTube dispute that he was trying to fix, and I said, all right, so Gabriel Brown was innocent in this situation, but he's not innocent overall. And Saber Spark was like, yeah, I forgot he ran over those kids or something, something to that extent, which
Mm-hmm.
spiraled into me talking about everything that he's done, which then spiraled to Claire making that joke about wanting to be groomed.
Mm-hmm.
That was all the same instance, but that was a situation where I was still trying to get the word out, and then on Brony Fandom, it was me presenting information, and then I would get responses from either Gabriel or Michelle or Claire that I would respond to. I never went out of my way to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the only time I've ever done that was after Destiny told me her story. I posted on Claire's website about her projects or something. Uh, I tried to get her to tell Gabriel that I know about the Destiny situation to try to get him to talk to me.
Mm.
And that is the only time I've personally reached out to Claire. Every other time I've been responding to her.
Right.
I know she claims that I have been harassing her,
Mm-hmm.
but that is genuinely the only time I've ever gone out of my way to talk to her. Every other time, I've just been responding.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you want to maintain like any sort of relationship with Michelle or Claire. But I mean, and even I've had this criticism of you. I mean, you do understand that like trying to fight with people who are, because they claim they're not groomed. Do you understand that like fighting with people and trying to convince them that they are isn't exactly super helpful? I mean, I understand you have your opinion. I get it. I understand wanting to try to prove your opinion and prove it to be true, but don't. I think it would just be more helpful to Destiny and the Snapchat victim who do acknowledge that they have been groomed and help them over fighting with two other people who are very adamant that they're not.
I just don't believe I've done that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe I have been trying to fight Michelle and Claire in
Okay.
in really any way. Like I said, I've only ever responded to Claire mainly when she's talked to me.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, I have debated with her about things, which I tried to be civil
Mm-hmm.
initially, and then she accepted my personal information from some anonymous doxer. She's gone into my backlog and tried to accuse me of some horrible shit that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't entirely accurate. She's tried to use grooming my potential grooming against me. There's been a whole lot of things that made it a lot more personal over this time, but um I only ever tried to clarify what is and isn't appropriate that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that trying to tone down my wording on it is a disservice to people and victims because if what Gabriel Brown did shouldn't have happened, I think it is grooming. I don't, and I when I say I think, people run with that as an opinion, and yes, it technically is an opinion, but it is an informed opinion based on what I know that happened and what I know is what grooming consists of.
Mm-hmm.
Um, all the things that have happened are inappropriate. All the things that led up to him dating her shouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because they did happen, it is grooming.
Right.
If I were to say that it wasn't grooming, then it could allow other people to get away with that too.
I
It's
see.
not about Claire, it's not about Michelle, it's about what how people perceive situations. Because what happened to them is perceived as normal by a lot of the fandom, and it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't normal. So I
Right.
want to make sure that people understand um, that none of this is normal, and that if they see this anywhere, but being done by anyone, they should at least investigate and be a little hesitant to be happy about the situation.
Right. So you said that Claire had accepted your some doxing information about you. Do you know
Mhm.
exactly how you were doxed?
I believe it was someone who knew me personally, not someone who hacked information. I don't know who it was. They were using an anonymous account.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they messaged Claire on Twitter, saying, "Hey, I have things like his home address. Would you like those?" And Claire responded, "That'd be great." Smiley face.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a lawsuit in the mail, or I don't know if it's considered a lawsuit or defamation. I got a legal threat in the mail.
Like a cease and desist?
See, I don't want to say yes, it is a cease and desist because I'd have to look at the papers again to
Okay.
determine what exactly it's called. But yes, and I got that back in October.
Gotcha. Did you have any lawyers look through this paperwork or anything to tell you what it was, or?
No, I mean it says it on the paper.
Ah.
Yeah, I just don't want to, because I'm not like a lawyer or a legal expert, so I don't want to say it was a lawsuit or it was a defamation or it was a cease and desist, and then people correct me and go, "Why were you lying?" I genuinely just don't know which terminology is correct.
Fair
What's
enough.
important is that I got a legal threat to retract things I've said and issue a statement.
Gotcha.
Um, and when I ignored that and kept going, nothing happened,
Right.
leading me to believe that it was nothing more than a threat, which
Mm-hmm.
also leads me to believe that he does not want an investigation.
Sure. I mean, fair enough. I'm not a lawyer either. I don't know any legal I mean, I know legal definitions. I do legal research, I suppose. But even I'm just a person with Google. I wouldn't be able to tell
Exactly.
you. So that all of that kind of leads up to like videos starting to get made about Black Griffin. The two biggest ones, obviously, were mine and Courtney Pete's. Um,
That's
what's
not
your
necessarily true. Alamau also had one,
Oh
although I
yeah,
think that one's
the
bad.
fucking well yeah the did you know has been hotel guy? That's what I know him
Yeah.
as. Yeah, well there's that guy. There's another dude when I was doing research who has like a Sonic OC or something like that, which is
Mm.
ironic given the circumstances. But the big ones that most get cited is mine and Courtney's, at least in opposition, and then there's A Lamau's, which is in the oppose. So I wanted to ask this just because I know that in the interview with Courtney, she did an interview with Sophie, but she didn't do an interview with you. So what is your
Mm.
whole relationship with Courtney Pete, since she's kind of tangentially related to all this?
Can I do a real quick side note? I'm sorry.
Sure, yeah.
So you said that Alamau was on the opposed side. He actually agrees, and in the video says he agrees with everything I was saying. He just presents it very poorly to the point where people thought he disagreed.
That's what well, when I watch it, he's just like, I don't know if it's whatever Claire and Michelle says it didn't happen, take their word for it, whatever the fuck. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
it's I don't know, the way he worded it made it very much sound like he was being very dismissive. So I just assume he was just like, it's nothing weird's happening here or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. That's all. I just wanted to specify. I don't think the video is bad because he doesn't agree with me. He
Hmm.
does agree with me. I think the video is bad because he didn't put enough effort into it.
He doesn't put enough
Um,
effort into his content, period. Though, let's be for real.
yeah. No, I
Like
agree.
he just has been hotel fun facts about like minute shit. It's whatever.
Yeah. Anyways, the real question. Um, it was sorry, what was the question again? My bad.
Courtney Pete. What's your relationship with
Yes.
her?
It was non-existent at the
Okay,
time.
gotcha.
So my knowledge of Courtney was slightly less than my knowledge of KP, which was slightly more than nothing.
Right.
Um, at the time of me and Sophie talking about Griffin and getting more traction, finding more information, and putting out the master doc in uh, around the time of the master doc being put out, uh, KP's team started messaging me about um the DA games, the
Mm-hmm.
people, and I said I don't know anything about them. I mostly do call outs on people in the Brony community. I
Right.
can't really help you guys with this. I don't know any information. I'm already balancing a lot. It's not even in my wheelhouse of things I usually cover.
Right.
So, um, but then they kept replying on threads about Griffin and also like trying to use that to bring attention to the DA game situation, which I don't really have a problem with if it's a real situation. And I do believe that DA Games has done stuff. I don't think KP was lying in her video. I think her video was just really poorly done.
Right. Oh.
Um, there were sections that shouldn't have been there. There are
Mm-hmm.
things. There's a hell of a lot of memes that shouldn't have been there. But
Yeah.
I don't think the actual accusations were ever lies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so so when I say that they were bringing up DA games a lot, I don't mean to say that that was a really bad move of them. I think they were trying to get attention for a serious situation. But I also have to question their reasoning in hindsight
Right.
because I do believe that some of them were trying to do it for attention purposes and not necessarily bringing attention to the situation purposes.
Mm-hmm.
So KP kind of was inserted into all of this, and made a room in her server about Griffin, and positioned it as any victims of Griffin come to my server, and you can chat about it here. Which felt weird even at the time
Mm-hmm.
because she wasn't involved, and she was trying to play the role of like the sanctuary for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt strange. But I joined the server so I could help answer any questions if there were any. And that led to me being in a call with KP by my own doing, joining a call that was going on in that server when I joined the server itself.
Right.
And then KP explained the DA game situation to me and explained some of the Saber Spark situations, both things relating to DA games and things relating to her personally, involving Saber that I don't think she even really touched on in her own video.
Right.
Um, but but she told me things that I don't know if they're meant to still be private because I thought she was going to talk about them. There were kind of reasons why I trusted her
Hmm.
to bring up Saber at all.
Right.
Um, Point being, that was the extent of my relationship with KP. And KP in that conversation told me that she couldn't work on a Griffin video because she was working on a lot of stuff involving Saber Spark. So instead, she gave it to Courtney, and she
Right.
explained to me that it was Lily Singh's sister. Um, and she also explained that while that is true, she's a victim of Lily Singh's as well. So I was like, "Oh shit, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. I guess she'd be perfect to cover all this."
Right.
Um, then Courtney's video came out, and I thought she did a good job with it. I still think she did a good job with it, honestly.
Hmm.
But that was the extent of how much I knew Courtney. I heard about her.
Right.
Uh, and after the video, the day after, um, I was talking in KP's group in her server in the Griffin section, and these two people that have been harassing me for a long time, ever since I started calling Griffin out on the Brony Fandom account, were talking in there. And I
Hmm.
recognized them and I said, "Hey, aren't you this person?" And they got real upset. And they said, and they started uh, double team, bad wording. They started going at me and saying like, how dare you? Like they've changed their opinion long ago. How are you still claiming that and spreading misinformation? I'm like, I don't know you guys. All I know you guys from is harassing me.
Right.
Um,
Who are these
and
people?
also it was
Just two
true.
people. Two people in KP server, or
They know they're people that have been inserting themselves into all of this since the beginning.
hmm.
I don't really want to name them because I feel like one of them is similar to me where they can't handle a lot of uh harassment. And
Sure.
I'm not saying that I'm harassing them by bringing them up. I'm just saying that I don't know how people like if people hear this and then they go looking for this person, I don't know how that person would react because
Right.
based on previous situations. But um they have been very critical, to put it lightly, of me,
Hmm.
to the point where they even to this day constantly talk about me.
Right.
So, um, I wasn't super happy seeing them there. So I didn't say a whole lot. But then Courtney uh came to their aid in a way and like defended them. So I messaged her and said, "Hey, these people are kind of like they're like bullies of mine. I don't I was trying to explain the situation. I was kind of hurt that she would do that, especially since it felt out of place. I didn't know her that well, but I liked her video and I thought she was well spoken in it.
Right.
So, it felt weird. So I thought I'd talk to her. And then she said that, uh, "Oh, you think you're being bullied? What are you, like a child?" And it changed my opinion of her very quickly because not only children can get bullied, and it just felt very weirdly aggressive out
Yeah.
of
Well,
nowhere.
Courtney's kind of known for being like outwardly kind of aggressive online. Yeah.
I know that now.
I've known that for about a year, so like, yeah,
Like
it's
I said, I didn't know who she was really at all.
fair enough.
I just knew that she made a good video and then I was hesitant to promote it because of how she personally treated me. But I never went out of my way to tell anyone to not watch it or say anything bad about her. I was just more cautious about her after that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then after KP's video, I saw how she was reacting to people, and I was kind of glad that I stopped promoting the video specifically.
Fair enough.
I still think it's a good video. I just don't really want to platform Courtney.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. She very much is like, because of her own traumas, she very much is like, if you don't experience my trauma the same way I do, you know,
Yeah,
that's the vibe I get. Anyways, there's only one specific way you can you can experience the same trauma I went through, and if you're not experiencing it in the same way I did, you're not a real victim or whatever the fuck. So let's talk about my video for just a second. Um,
mm,
I know you've left a comment where you had some criticisms. You said the video is almost perfect. Um, I know that Sophie even had some issues with it. I've been told through the grapevine that she just didn't like it at all. So I am somebody who's very receptive to criticism. I've heard it from even Beckett when he talked to me because he needed my input for his video and stuff. But I've heard it harsh from him, harsh from even Enter at this point. What's your issues with my video? Just lay it on me, man. I've heard it all at this point, so I might as well hear it from you, who was kind of the first bouts of some ish criticism. So, what's the problem? I suppose.
I don't. It's been a bit since I've seen the video.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I am. My memory is not amazing unless I really like repetition helps me remember things.
Right.
So, I remember a lot of information revolving Black Griffin because everyone asks me about it 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but specifically, discrepancies in your video. From what I can recall, there was information that was not accurate.
Mm-hmm.
That I felt like was very easy to research a bit more on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to be like super hostile or harsh right now. I'm just trying
It's,
to,
dude, I've heard it all. It's fine. Like I said, lay it on me. It's
yeah.
whatever.
Like obviously, who voiced who, getting that wrong wasn't a big deal. It's not really the point of the video.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do think that is an example of like it would be easy to get that information correct, but it wasn't really.
Mm-hmm.
The time wasn't taken as much as I thought it had to be. But so with applying that to more important things, like there was a. I'm gonna be honest. A lot of the things I remember are the things that personally were about me.
Right.
I'm not. It's not because I felt there was only things to criticize there. It just those stuck with me more
Mm-hmm.
because it was about me. I'd have to rewatch the video to remember exactly
Mm-hmm.
the other problems. I think there was stuff about the timeline with. Oh, sorry. I do remember one now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess this does also involve me though.
It's
You
fine. I
said that
mean,
I was very I seemed very like I it had to be my way or the highway when it came to Claire's situation. But then you were also very open about how you felt a lot of the situations were inappropriate and shouldn't have happened. And I felt kind of like I think we were just calling them different things, but we're on the same page. But then also you felt that I wasn't. I don't know. Uh, I'm sorry. Like I said, if I haven't seen the video since I watched it initially,
that's fine.
so I need to go back and watch it if I were going to critique it.
That's totally fine. I mean, it's private right now, but like,
Hmm.
it's just to avoid like any further harassment and stuff like that. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Like, but that's why we're having this conversation now, to see where we are on the same page. I think it's more just like, we just both have like a different interpretation on information, which is not necessarily a
Yeah,
bad thing. It's just more so like, I interpret it this way, you interpret it that way. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I think it. any age gap relationship that starts with one of the parties being a minor and the other one being an adult is immediately I'm like, that's weird. Like, I don't care for age gap
Yeah.
relationships all that much, but when it starts with one of you being a fit, like, think of the logistics here of it for a second.
Yeah.
Fucking Claire and Michelle, or Gabe and Claire go into a bar, and they meet some new friends, and Gabe's like, "This is my wife," and they're like, "Oh my god, how did you guys meet?" Well, I met her on this show that we both worked on. So they do some research on her, and they realize she was on the show when she was a minor, and they're like, "Hey, did you meet her when she was like a kid or something like that?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." And then you have to go into a whole explanation about how you met your wife when she was a child and how it's totally not weird. That the logistics of that, me personally, I wouldn't want to be put in that situation where I have to explain that how I met my wife as
Yeah.
a kid. That's weird.
I mean, I
like,
agree. The logistics of that are very like crazy. But for me, the thing is like also I don't have a huge problem with age gap relationships either. I don't want to be in one,
clearly,
but
clearly.
like that's not even like the problem. Like the
Mm-hmm.
problem is that he was hanging out with this minor that he later got into a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because there is an undeveloped mind around someone constantly, subconsciously, whether intentional by Griffin or not, that person is developing around them.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't just because the person is okay with it doesn't mean it isn't real. Like if we start saying that it was all right, that it's implying that it was consensual and that also minors can consent, which is not something that I think most people would agree with. But they're not dissecting it enough, in my personal opinion. They're not looking into like the implications of being okay with all of this.
Right.
And it wasn't just like once or twice they hung out when she was a kid. She was around her constantly, talking to her constantly for years before she was legal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think that the moment she becomes legal, it becomes okay either. Um, he was 24 when
Mm-hmm.
she met him, and she wouldn't be legal for another like 3 to 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And during those 3 to 4 years, he was tickling her, taking her privately to the woods. He was joking about kissing her. I, I don't think any of these things should have happened, but even if they didn't, just being around a minor, I feel like it should it should make her not an option in his mind
Right.
for dating ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because she grew up like she saw her develop,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels weird to even say that because the changes are drastic at that age. Like I can't imagine what's going on in his mind.
Yeah. It,
Um,
it's definitely very odd to imagine like growing up and watching your wife grow up. You know,
yeah,
it's very odd. And the thing is, if your accusation is just like this is a weird fucking relationship, I don't think most people would necessarily disagree with you. I think most people would be like, yeah, you're probably right. But I think it's like once you bring in grooming into it, and then Claire's like, no, I promise this isn't grooming, I'm fine. But the narrative still is that anyways. I think it rubs people the wrong way. I think people should be like, we should probably just listen to Michelle and Claire more. You know what I mean?
I just don't think it matters what people perceive it as. I think it more matters what it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the situation was inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think many people would disagree with that statement. But I think the reason why it was inappropriate is the reason why it was grooming. Because this child developed around in the environment that he put her in.
Mm-hmm.
He is an idol in this scenario. He's someone that she can idolize, she can see as this larger than life figure. Because her brain is still forming. That's not me talking about Claire. That's me talking about anyone at this age. That's how people work. The brain's not fully developed until like 23 to 25 years. And I'm not saying that people around that age can't date. I'm just saying they probably shouldn't be dating someone that's way younger than that.
Right.
The reason it's inappropriate isn't because it's weird. It's inappropriate because it's harmful, and that harm is grooming. I feel like I am dissecting the reason it's a problem. If it was just weird, that's not harmful, I don't think.
Right.
I don't have a problem with weird. I have a problem with things that shouldn't happen to anyone.
Right.
Um, and I feel like the more information that comes out, because much more recently, we had a third person talk about how he when she was a child was flirting and being weird with her. Um, this is outside of the Snapchat victim. This is outside of Destiny, and also outside of the DeviantArt person that was found.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, her name is Dorothy.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, she's also in the document now. She was added later, but she went through his DeviantArt likes and started finding like lolicon and Billy and Mandy porn of Billy and Mandy that he liked. Um, then there's the situations with Destiny, Dorothy, Jill on DeviantArt. I don't know how to pronounce their username honestly.
I thought it was Jai or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it either, to be
Something like
fair.
that.
I think she's
Um,
like Asian. Like I thought she was from like China or something. I don't know. She said something about being Chinese or whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
but yeah, but all that, and then also what happened with them, and even sure, we don't have proof of Destiny and the Snapchat victim getting sent his penis like they allege. But we do have proof that for at least one of them, he was messaging them when they were a minor, which is already more than just weird, I feel. Like, why is he having these entire conversations in DMs with people that aren't of age? And why are they usually like female? Um, but my point is, there's even more situations that keep coming out. Him arguing that if he were to date Michelle at 16, it would be legal.
Yeah,
Just
that was weird. That was weird. That was objective. I'm like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have said that, especially if you were trying to be like, this is just my sister. I'm just like, just end it at that. That's
yeah,
fine.
it,
Like,
there's
ugh.
just such a laundry list at this point that I think I'm pretty justified in having at least I feel like I'm pretty justified in at least me perceiving it as grooming at this point. If someone disagrees with me, I guess that's fine. I personally think that's harmful because I think it kind of dismisses it in all circumstances with even other people if they were to do something like that. But I don't really think that people can see me claiming all this with all of the information that we have now and go, you're way out of line. This is clearly not that.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much. It just goes on and on. Like I feel like I was rambling and all I was doing was giving cliff notes of some of the things that he's done.
I mean, if I ever need to know exactly what he's done, I do have the document pulled up. So,
And
you
then
know.
there's all the times where he and others have lied on his behalf. Like they know the situation, but they're lying anyways. Why would they do that? And then there's the legal threats. He threatened me, he threatened Destiny. And in both circumstances, nothing came of it. We both ignored him. She was given multiple different deadlines that passed. They came and went, and nothing happened. Um, and he has sent legal threats to other people. The whole reason that Wootmaster dropped him is because of getting a legal threat. And it worked. Woot stopped talking about him. I that's not a circumstance where it's proven that he threatened someone else and then nothing came of it because obviously they dropped it, which means they went along with the threat, which means you know what was argued that they needed to do or else they'd get into legal trouble happened.
Yeah.
But it's another example of this is the response. But every time that response isn't met, it doesn't change anything. And I feel like if it was real, it would have changed something.
I mean, people kind of send empty threats all the time. I mean, the only thing that I can talk about in terms of like the Snapchat thing is that that was a very common thing for a lot of creators back then, especially in 2016, to like set up Snapchats and like talk to fans. I know that like other people in the anti SJW sphere used to do that too. Like,
Mhm.
and also, Andy Stein did it, and we all know how that ended, I
Well, that's
suppose.
the thing. Like Snapchat feels like it was designed for this kind of thing. Like a lot
Yeah,
of predators used it because of how DMs would be deleted,
right.
um, like automatically. Um, and also just the circle of friends, like also having all this other shit to them. Like it feels like an overwhelming amount of information. To the point where it kind of baffles me when people are very heavily against the idea that anything happened.
Yeah. I feel like you can definitely point to some things and be like, hey, that's kind of shitty. Like, to completely dismiss it outright, I think it's just like you're not looking into the bigger picture of it, I suppose. Like, there are some things in here that are criticizable. Like, I can't disagree with you on that. I mean, people will just interpret the information differently, I suppose, is the main thing. Is like, will people see this as a big deal or not? Like, you know, Twitter likes, will they consider that, a big deal or not? Will they consider talking to fans on Snapchat when everyone was doing that back then a big deal or not? You know what I mean? Like, it's like how severe is it to some people in comparison to others, I suppose.
Yeah, I. It's just that when someone is defending him so strongly, it leads me to believe that they don't want to believe anything else. They are trying to change people's perspective for more nefarious reasons.
Fair enough.
Because not because like I am the arbiter of justice or whatever, but because there's just so much information for it all to be hand waved under. This isn't a lot. It seems like a blatant lie to me. Either they didn't look at it, or they're purposely trying to dismiss it.
Gotcha. So, what are your thoughts and opinions of me being involved in all this personally? Like, I know we talked about the video a little bit, but like, there's been some posts, I suppose, on the Brony Fandom account calling me just the drama YouTuber, and just to clarify, like I get the perception of that. Trust me, I do. I'm not like being like, why'd you call me a drama? Like I get it, but most of the time when I make videos, it's just shit I hyper focus on. Like it's my hyper fixation the channel. It's like what interests me this week, kind of thing. So I just wanted to get a read on whether or not we hate each other or not. You know what I mean? Like what's
I don't hate you.
okay?
I don't
Good.
even I don't even necessarily dislike you. I don't really know you,
Fair
to be
enough.
perfectly honest.
Fair enough.
It's just the initial video that you put out said a lot of things about me that was peddled by the Billy Bust Up document, which you in your video called out for lying, but you didn't seem to do a whole lot of research on if the lies, if the things said about me had any truth to them or not. And you kind of gave a rundown of them uncritically, I felt. Um, and I feel like there's a lot of very easy information where I personally give rebuttals and cite give citations for why these things are just out of context or lying that wouldn't for someone making a video on this wouldn't have been hard to find because I was putting that information out so people would learn. And if it felt like I wasn't given a lot of due diligence, I was waved away. Even though like you already knew that the word they were taking this from wasn't trustworthy. Um, to give at least one example, like they were calling me a 4chaner, and I've
Right.
never used 4chan. They didn't really have any evidence of me using 4chan. Um, and they cited the Screwball account and things that were said on that, but they don't specify that I was a minor at the time, that this was a decade and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't they don't want that to be the narrative.
Right.
So when you put out stuff like that uncritically, it kind of made me wonder like how much about this do you really care about in terms of like is this just content or or even if it's not, are you being driven more by wanting to help people or wanting to criticize whoever you feel needs to be criticized? Um, and and it did leave a bad taste in my mouth because
Mm-hmm.
it was it you are a big YouTuber and I felt like I had gotten a bit slandered and all that, which hurt, but I didn't, I don't know. But moving on from that, I was I don't want to talk about everything regarding Saber Spark,
Mm-hmm.
um, specifically because the information that I revealed to people or in that time, not the testimony itself, but information that was given to me by the victim, I shouldn't have put out there. I wasn't given permission to put that out, and I regret doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was facing a lot of harassment by Saber Sparks people at the time, his fans, because he said didn't do it, and then a lot of people were calling me a liar about rape and ruining lives and telling me to kill myself and that they were going to dox me and stuff like that.
Right.
So I was feeling very overwhelmed and stressed, and we all know how that turned
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I did things to try to self-preserve that I shouldn't have done, and I normally wouldn't have. I'm not trying to excuse what I did. It was wrong, but I want to clarify because people act like I'm evil for it. What I did that was wrong was put out information that I didn't have permission to put out. I didn't make things up. Um, sorry, I'm getting off track.
No,
The
it's
point is,
fine. I mean, other questions
yeah,
throughout this will kind of go more into that anyway. And also, I'm in contact with Emily, so like I know most of this already. So
yeah. In regards to what I said about you in all of that, I don't want to discuss because I shouldn't have brought it up in the first place, and I don't really want to go more in detail on things that I shouldn't have put out there in the first place.
fair enough. I mean, it was just
I,
something I was curious about, like, because I mean,
yeah.
you know,
In private, I can talk to you about that. I just can't.
yeah,
I don't want to go over it for other people.
sure.
But as going past that to the videos with Mr. Enter, Phineas, and Emily. I thought your interview was very good because it gave uh, Emily a chance to talk about everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt Mr. Enter's video was really bad because it dismissed a lot of critical information, kind of hand waved it away, and also didn't address all of it, didn't bring it all up, but it seemed to imply that it had,
Mm-hmm.
which gave I would feel like would give people the idea that there wasn't a lot of information when there was a lot more. Um, and then also hyped up uh, right wing slop tubers. I don't know what to call them. I don't really have. I was gonna be more respectful with the name, but then I realized this guy sucks. So,
I call them commentary bros. That's what the commentary brosphere. That's what I call it.
I mean, there are people that are commentary bros. This is more like um a one of those people that say like some offensive shit and then you go, "Whoa, that was offensive," and then they go, "Ha, I owned you." That's the kind of person I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
Um, so I
I mean, we can.
my point being,
I got the
yeah,
questions
sorry.
here, so we'll just go in order of those because that's eventually something that's going to come up. So
Yeah, I lost track in
it's
that question.
okay.
I'm sorry. I know
No
that
worries.
was bad.
No worries. That's why I'm here to mediate. Um, so I know you kind of answered this question already, but to stay track on like make it easier for me in editing, I suppose. So what is your relationship with I Love Kim Possible a lot? Are you still currently in contact with her or anything?
After, so like I said before, I didn't really know her prior to her putting out that video. She was
Mm-hmm.
kind of inserting herself in a lot. And then I joined her server. I talked to her a bit, realized that she did have personal interactions with Saber Spark that were um, not great,
Mm-hmm.
and that she was making her own video on Saber. So when I was approached to help Emily with her story, and me and Sophie both knew that we were overwhelmed already and weren't going to be able to balance Griffin and Saber. I suggested KP because I knew that she had was already doing exactly that topic, and because I knew that she had personal things to say about it.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that felt like a very slam dunk. Like, oh, that's magical. That had that lines up.
Right.
Um, and if and otherwise, I would have handled it myself because I don't really know KP. And I wouldn't trust someone else to do it if I could, but I couldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which that was for a while the extent of my conversations with KP until the video was closer to coming out and she messaged me and Sophie randomly with the testimony that she wanted us to post on the Brony fandom account with a little preamble that she also wanted us to attach to the front of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I did not use that preamble because it was saying things that we thought that we didn't think. Um, it was kind of speaking for us on things. Um, but I did post the testimony because I wanted to help. Uh, and I thought, well, if this is the plan, I'll go along with the plan.
Sure.
I don't really want to get involved with all this because I can't really focus on like doing an investigation and all that. Like publicly, putting out information. But I did know it was Emily, and I did look into her and know that she had no reason to be lying,
Mm-hmm.
and she did have interactions with Saber.
Right.
So I wanted to help regardless. So I put that out. And then KB got mad at me because she said, "No, no, not now. When the video comes out on that day," so I deleted it. Um,
Oh, was that the early leak? Is that what that she's referring to? Because she said it got leaked early.
yeah, she didn't specify when she wanted this to be posted. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, she didn't talk to us about posting it at all. She just kind of said, "Do this."
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did it, and then she got mad at me and told me to get rid of it. So I got rid of it, and then waited until the day.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole like putting it on Premiere and having like a date release wasn't my idea either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then that day came, video came out. It was bad, and I wasn't able to start watching it immediately. I didn't see any of the reactions because the reason I wasn't able to watch it because I was busy. But the moment I was able to watch it, an hour in, I was already thinking, this is bad. So I
Mm-hmm.
message her and I start telling her, hey, what's going on? This is not what I thought it would be. So far, I'm an hour in, and it barely talks about anything legitimate. It's just talking about personal things, getting testimonies to your character, and a bunch of memes. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then once I started messaging her, I started seeing other people's reactions and how like Emily's testimony was only in the last like 10 minutes or something.
It was an hour
Um,
and 30 in or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and I was getting more and more upset as I found out more and I was watching more. So I started explaining to her, "Hey, take this down. This is going to do more harm than good."
Mm-hmm.
Um, this was not me reacting to other people. This was my personal reactions in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she said, "All right, I'll speak to my team. See what they say." And then she privated the video after like another half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I tried to get the conversation back on track with talking about what happened to Emily on online instead of people talking about the video, but that didn't go well.
Right.
And then
Well,
after that, sorry, go on.
no, yeah, well, it's a little hard to talk about the whole Emily situation without it being tangentially related to that video because that's how it was kind of presented.
I mean,
Unfortunately, but
yes, but at the same time, not a whole lot of people had actually been able to watch that video
fair
as it
enough.
came out.
Yeah, fair
It
enough.
was more talked about because it kept being spread in the aftermath of it, and I was still trying to work with KP. I was trying to get her. I got her to take it down, and I wanted to. Uh, I was trying to reassure her that hey, it's not the end of the world. You know, you made bad calls, and it was very tone deaf, but it can be fixed. It'll be all right. And I thought she understood that what the parts that were her bad.
Mm-hmm.
Up until she started like defending, not defending as much as criticizing people's criticisms. It seemed like she didn't understand at that point. And
Yeah.
then she started threatening Emily.
Right.
That was when I cut ties with her entirely.
Gotcha.
I was still trying to reassure her that things could be fine and we could work through this, and I was trying to help her. At that point, I had taken a more active role in everything because things had spiraled, and I could no longer just be on the sidelines on it.
Right. Right.
Um, but I was feeling for her because I felt she was getting a lot of harassment, and I didn't feel like she had bad intentions, so I wanted to help. But then she was being awful, and I stopped talking to her, and that was
Gotcha.
my extent of my relationship with her.
Right. So how did you learn about the allegations against Saber Spark initially?
It was brought to me by Emily's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And she told me that Emily would like to talk to me about everything uh, that happened to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I said that I wasn't gonna be able to handle it at the time because I was suicidal back in October when I was approached about all that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Sophie was also overwhelmed with everything.
Right.
So yeah, we weren't Saber Spark, while we believed everything that was happening, and we still do believe everything that happened to Emily, it wasn't something that we thought we could tackle, at least not until the Griffin situation was over.
Gotcha. I mean, so you went to KP just because like you already knew that she was gonna talk about Saber Spark, so you're just like, oh well, that works out.
I didn't go to KP. I just suggested KP.
Oh, okay. Okay, I thought that you like brought her to her or at least redirected her, I think.
No.
Okay. Were you aware of like the stuff you said you did some research on Emily Jones, like, and you didn't think she had any reason to lie. Were you at all aware of like any of her previous controversies? Because I know there's been like a couple of videos, not that they're great videos, but there are some videos that discuss like her stuff with Ryan Drummond and like the stuff that happened at Sonics and Tails R, her thing with Ceci, like all the stuff that we talked about in the interview. Like, were you aware of any
Yeah.
of that stuff?
I did see that stuff, and the videos seem to be very um pointed intentionally. And I kind of have I can pick up on that when it's pretty clear sometimes. Um and it gives me pause. So when people are talking about she had sex with a Sonic VA and it is really bad because that's Sonic and she worked her way up the industry. It's like I don't know, there's a lot of leaps and it seems like if there's other information you're trying to give me surrounding that, it feels like this none of this is really with the intent of pointing out genuinely bad things as more in the point of filling out a um a roster of reasons to distrust someone.
Right.
Um and I know people accuse me of doing that, but I feel like this entire the master document, while I did not write it, I feel like none of it is nothing. All of it adds the same conclusion.
Right.
Um, but not all of it's on the same level of intensity. Don't get me wrong, but a lot more of it is more than just damning. And the ones that aren't damning
Yeah.
as much still help paint the picture of everything. There's the small details do corroborate the rest.
Right.
Um, but all the people that are calling out Emily all seem to have a grudge and not uh, good intentions.
Right. Right. Were you ever aware of the changes that were made to the victim's testimony by KP and Courtney?
I didn't know any of any of the changes to the testimony. I didn't know of until late May,
Mm-hmm.
well past everything that happened.
Right.
I did not know that it was not Emily's own words entirely.
Gotcha.
Um, because I had already known the story for the most part, and it for more or less lined up with the main points. So any discrepancies were smaller. Um, it wasn't like a huge change in the story as
Mm-hmm.
far as I was aware.
Right.
Um,
I mean, they're not huge changes, but I think one
yeah.
of the bigger ones that bring contention to her testimony was the issue of implied consent. You know, so I mean, and to me, it just seemed really weird for KP to argue that like implied consent is bullshit, and then be recording people without their consent to do so, and being like, "Well, it should be obvious I was recording," kind of thing. It's like, do you not see how that argues implied consent? Like, you know what I mean?
I
I'm
mean,
just like,
I feel like those are two very different things because one is consent to be recorded in a conversation, and the other
mm-hmm.
one is the difference between rape and not rape.
Sure, but
Uh,
like when you're giving consent, I mean, it's not just exclusive to having sex with someone. It's giving your consent to really
no,
do anything.
I know that the word is broader than just in the context of sex. I don't like comparing them because it feels like two very different extremes. I don't think it's hypocritical of KP to
Oh,
do that because it technically is the same word, but in two very very different extreme contexts. I, I don't really have a problem with KP having recorded DA games personally. I feel like I don't like that she lied about it about doing it, but she was trying to get proof of what he did to her. And I believe what he did to her.
right.
So I don't really have an issue on that sense.
Sure, like I don't really necessarily because it's complicated, right? Because it's Discord, and usually when people are just like, "Oh, that's like wiretapping or something like recording without permission to party," like all that stuff. If you, I could tell you from even talking to Mr. Enter, right? If you try to bring those charges up on something that is a Discord call, they'll just tell you like, "What the fuck is Discord?" Like the rules are not the same, or either that or like fuck, like the police are not like well equipped in internet knowledge to know that that's the same thing, kind of thing, I guess.
Also, it's legal in most states. One party consent for recordings is a thing, unless it's something that breaks privacy, more like getting like nude pictures of someone without their knowledge or something like that. But this
Right.
is not that.
Yeah.
Um, so like I get that people can maybe have qualms with how she went about it, but ultimately I think it is just worse on DA games, and I don't have a
Oh, I know. Like the level of severity isn't the same. I just find it interesting that
yeah.
she, how she views consent. That's all.
I personally I think it's weird that she altered the testimony at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I don't like that she was reviewing it and adding her own opinions and little tweaks to it. I think that it should have been Emily's words, and then she could give advice on what to change
Mm-hmm.
instead of going in and altering it herself. Um,
Sure, because at that point it doesn't become Emily's story; it just becomes their story.
yeah, and it's like how she gave us this to post with her own opening paragraph phrased in our words about how to present it when we didn't give those words and they weren't how we would talk about it. I
Right.
didn't like that it was just dropped on our laps. This is how you're going to present it. It's not really, that's not really what I was ever going to do.
Mm-hmm. When you say
It
that she
seems.
gave you like an opener, right?
Mhm.
Are you talking about like how the tweet should be, like the tweet that comes with the testimony? Is that what you're talking about?
She gave a paragraph worded from our perspectives that was meant to go up and then the testimony come after it. Like saying basically, I, Bonk, and I, Sophie, have done this and this, and we believe this is all true, and this is the story. It was there was more in there, but that's the gist of what I'm talking about. She basically role played as us a little bit to
Mm-hmm.
give us instead of us asking us to give a disclaimer and summarize like what we're about to be presenting.
Mm-hmm.
She made up a presentation for us, and that feels similar to her altering the testimony because it makes it hard to know like what is and isn't coming from KP. Um,
Yeah.
and now Emily has. Hmm?
Do you happen to have this by any chance, or?
Yeah,
Oh, cool. May I see it, if you don't mind?
yeah. I think one of the biggest problems with it is that it implies that Sophie was also made aware of everything and did an investigation herself,
Mm-hmm.
which was not true. Sophie did not have involvement, really.
Right.
So it kind of just lied in that thing that we're supposed to present.
Oh, I
So that's
see.
why I didn't use it.
Okay.
I made my own introduction to the testimony. In my not I wasn't speaking on behalf of Emily. I was speaking on behalf of me presenting Emily's testimony.
Yeah, because it felt weird for her to put words in your mouth.
Yeah, and some
Right.
of those words weren't even true.
So, what was it like as you try to pull that up? I don't know. You can probably give it to me after or whatever the hell. But, what was it like receiving the initial backlash? At least the victim testimony and the video itself. Like, what was that kind of like?
Um, it was worrying because obviously now this is all tied to the Brony Fandom account, and that is all tied to people with actual um people that were actually abused,
Mm-hmm.
people that want to have their stories heard and believed. Um, and now people are taking this video and going, well, this was propped up by the Brony Fandom account, which means all of the information that Brony Fandom provided is like ineligible.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think that's how information works. It felt very, I was very incredulous about it all. But it doesn't matter if I find that baffling. It matters how people perceive things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I try to remind people that there is information put out. It's not my words that people are going off of. It's what is presented to them
Mm-hmm.
that they can see with their own eyes.
Right.
But it was an uphill battle when everyone wanted to talk about the KP video because I feel like that for a lot of people is comedic to talk about. It's drama. It's this train wreck that they can all point at.
It
Um,
made it 10 times harder, kind of thing. Like what already was an uphill battle is now like a steep slope.
yeah, and at the time it wasn't even an uphill battle anymore for Griffin. It was like we all the battle was pretty much going great. It,
Mm-hmm.
we convinced people. We were able to show people all the information and had been able to get a lot done. He was dropped from Mob Entertainment. He was dropped from multiple conventions. People that knew him personally saw this information and were starting to rethink their relationship with them to the point of also leaving him and telling us more information that I can't share, but really highlights just how much is fucked up with the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's all I can say on that. I can say that there are people that were close to him that know a whole lot more that I can't provide to the public,
Mm-hmm.
but it is also damning.
Right.
Um, so sorry, I
No,
keep
it's
getting on
fine.
off track.
No, it's okay. I mean, I guess since we're talking about like the initial backlash with all this, it kind of leads into events happening on live stream. We don't have to talk about that if you're not super comfortable. I totally understand.
It's okay.
But
We can talk about it.
okay, what was going through your mind, man? What the fuck happened?
So, like I said, I don't want to discuss the things that I shouldn't have posted, because they were things that I was told in confidence
Mm-hmm.
and then posted anyways. But I will say that what led to me doing that was Saber surprisingly released his video that morning,
Mm-hmm.
um, is saying that the allegations against him aren't true. And then he went on to talk about KP and me and Sophie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I felt pretty good at the time because at first it was like, okay, he's pretending that Emily does not exist at all. This will be easy. Uh, I could let people know that Emily exists, and then this video is pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but things went differently, and people were latching on to his video a lot more than I expected to because he doesn't really say anything in his video aside from KP's video is bad and Brony Fandom wants clout because he calls out other people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, KP's video is bad and I do call out people, but the examples I gave that he gave aren't examples of clout chasing, they're examples of people who have done shit. So I didn't expect the reaction that people had
Mm-hmm.
to that video to be so strong in his favor, saying that he proved his innocence when he didn't even talk about anything.
I
It's
mean,
not really proof. I
to
know
be f-
people make the argument that like if it's an alleged thing, what is he supposed to talk about? But he still didn't prove he was innocent.
I mean, he has the challenge of having to prove a negative kind of thing. Like
Sure,
the most he
but
can
that
say is
isn't proof.
just. I mean, the most he can say is just nuh-uh, like at the time. And if he's gonna set up doing legal stuff, he can't say anything beyond just nuh-uh. You know what I mean? Like, if he wanted to prove his innocence, he if he's planning on doing any sort of lawsuit, he'd do it in a courtroom. Maybe that's what he's saving that for.
I I can see that perspective. I just can't see the perspective of people claiming that he proved anything. Because at best, he said he didn't do it. That's the extent of evidence that he gave to him not doing it.
Right.
And I understand that I understand the argument that he can't present evidence of him not doing something that he didn't do. I understand that argument. It just doesn't make it that he proved anything. If he can't prove it, then he can't prove it. But he doesn't even attempt to go over it. And if there's more reasons, if it's because of a court case or anything, sure. But it's still not even evidence against what happened, what was alleged to him. So people believing so strongly that he, without a shadow of a doubt, is the innocent party now was surprising because he didn't say anything. Um, I was getting more and more depressed as that went on. I felt less hopeful. I felt that people kept trying to tie it to Griffin too. They were saying things like, well, if he's gonna lie about Saber Spark, then he must be lying about Black Griffin too. Just dismissing all information without even acknowledging any of the information. Even though it wasn't my word alone, it wasn't even word of mouth. It was physical things you could perceive. But they wanted to just wrap it all in a bow and say, well, we can forget all this now. And it was devastating because I talk to the people that are affected by all this. And at this point, I'm affected by all this too. People know who I am. It was never a secret, but I am attached to everything. So I wouldn't want to go around saying crazy, incredulous shit if I wasn't sure. Um, and I am still sure of what happened with Saber Spark and with Black Griffin. But people were telling me that I just wanted attention, that I'm a liar, that I was making things up. And it felt so hopeless because I knew it was stupid, to be blunt. There's no reason for them to believe that. Nothing that I've done presented a person who just wanted to say shit for the sake of saying shit. They at worst, if people want to say that like I have bad intentions or something, they can say that I believe things too strongly if they really want to. But to act like I was seeking validation through all of this, like just wanting to get internet points or that I was making stuff up, like it's very dismissive for no reason. Like I don't feel like I've done anything to make them believe that, but that was what was being said anyways.
Right.
Um, and things kept falling apart from there. Uh, the because Saber Spark made a video about it and it was very public. It got like 1 million views within the first few hours, from what I recall. I People in my personal life were starting to think that, oh well, if everyone's saying he's a liar, he's probably a liar. Not people that I'm closer to; those people understood the situation to some degree. I don't really try to inform everyone on the Griffin situation in my personal life. I try to keep it as separate so I can remove myself when I need to. But my closest friends did know about the situation and how I was trying to help people with it. And so they understood that this was all bullshit, but it was a lot coming on me. But the people I wasn't as close to, saw it and were like, "Oh, ew," and dropped me without even asking me about it, and it hurt. It kept piling up. I felt that, well, now for the rest of my life, people are going to use this and point to it and say, "Don't work with this person." And as someone who wants to make projects and do things, collaborations at some point, I've been someone who's been trying to do things. Um, this is going to end possibilities of that just because I was trying to help people. And I can't really change that perspective. I can't just tell everyone it's not true and have them believe me. I can't, they won't always give me the time of day to explain every little minutia of what happened. Um, so I started to not see any hope for my future. And people kept telling me to kill myself. And I've had suicidal tendencies in the past, and people like to use that as evidence that I am a liar, that I'm suicide baiting, because I didn't actually kill myself. And I thought there's only one way to prove them wrong, to make people believe that I am not making things up. I'm not just trying to get empathy. I genuinely have no sense of a future right now, and I'm genuinely in a terrible state of mind. And the only way to prove those people wrong is to do it, is to die.
Right.
Um, I don't feel that I proved them wrong by streaming and recording me going up to the bridge. That wasn't my goal. Because if that was my goal, that doesn't change anything. That they could still be like, well, you didn't do it, so you're a liar, you're just baiting. My goal in that moment was to do it. Because it was the only way that they would stop telling me how I actually feel, and maybe, hopefully, stop acting like it was all disproven, and maybe they would start looking into it again. It would be big news again, and they would believe Destiny, and they would believe the other victims again. So I wanted to change the narrative on everything, and I thought one swan song and it could maybe get better. Um, but I get scared. I don't I don't want to be hurt. I don't like cut myself or anything. I don't want pain. I just sometimes life gets to a point where I don't want it. And every time I think about it or do anything about it, I back out because I'm afraid that I'll mess it up and I'll just be in agony. In those extreme moments, if I ever had a way of instant like out, I might have taken it. But jumping off a bridge is not a guarantee. Uh, Other methods that I know are not a guarantee. So luckily, I haven't done it because I always my brain starts rushing with, well, what if I survive this, but then I'm just like broken as a person, like physically, and it hurts, and I lose a leg or something, and then I have to go on, and I have bills from the hospital, and like my life is just this harder, but I'm still living it. So that that got me to stop, and
Right.
I felt like I couldn't stop because I've already gone that far. But every thought is rushing in my head. The thought that if I don't do this, it will only be worse. It won't have changed anything if I don't do this. The thought that if I don't do this, I'm going to be put back uh, in the hospital for like another week because I've done that before and I've hated it. It just feels like I'm sitting around waiting to go back to my life while things are still bad. It doesn't feel like I'm getting helped. Um, and I didn't want to go back to that, so I thought I needed to. Um, Sorry, every question you give me, I go on and on.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. I'll just cut you off by asking like how like you're doing okay now. Like I'm very sorry that this sucks. Like I'm in your shoes. Like I'm not a cutter either, but I have moments where I'm just like I wish I could just fall asleep and never wake up. Like I get it. I totally get it. But I just hope that you're doing okay now. You know.
I'm doing all right now. Things
Okay,
have
good.
mellowed out. I've stopped fighting every person on the internet. Instead, I just the ones that are very clearly not caring about what they say, I just block. I don't, and it's been better
Right.
doing that.
That's what that feature
And
is for. Yeah.
it feels like I need to prove myself. I feel like that a lot of things in my past have made me the kind of person who always needs to prove that I'm not nothing. But I realize that I can't convince people who don't want to be convinced, and I can't. And people who want to just insult are not going to be convinced by me.
Sure.
Um, and sometimes I would validate it in my head, like, well, I'm arguing with them, but it's for the sake of other people to see and see how stupid they're being. But I realize that it's just better to present the information without all the extra nonsense on the side.
So, what was the reason in letting you back into the Brony Fandom account? Like, I mean, from my perspective, right? And this is just me speaking on behalf of, like, if I were in Sophie's situation.
Mm.
If I had seen that this whole situation and being online had caused you to want to jump, I wouldn't have let you back in the account. And that's just me. That's just because I want to look out for you and I want to make sure that like if social media makes you suicidal, I would keep you away from the things that make you want to kill yourself. So I'm just curious as to why you decided to come back to the Brony Fandom account.
I don't want to speak for Sophie,
Fair
but
enough.
I don't I don't think it's that. I don't think it's the way you explained it. I think that she understands the circumstances of what led to everything were extreme. And but those circumstances were also not something that would happen every day.
Right.
Um, Even if Saber Spark made a second video talking about me again, the level of things would not get to the same height as they did in that point.
Okay.
Um, for one, I've already dealt with that, so I could be better prepared. But two, like people aren't going to have the same energy that they had in that first initial surge when everyone was just knee jerk reaction, like going at it. Um, and she knows that I was doing better. We talk, and I didn't even want back in to keep doing things. I wanted back in so that I could remove um, the situations that I did leading up to that because I was not myself and I posted things that I shouldn't have. Uh, I didn't post things that were lies or that were like that were bad. But I posted things that were not as level-headed as I should have been. And some of them were things that I shouldn't have shared because I didn't have permission.
Right.
And I wanted to not let people just look at that all the time. But I did want to unlock the account so that people could still see all the information that was provided about all these different things.
Right.
I didn't want that to be inaccessible because of me. Um, and I knew that Sophie had a hard time looking at the account after everything that had happened. Um,
I'm surprised she didn't just delete it herself. To be honest, like.
she had a hard time. getting on. Like, she was there during everything. She saw what I did. She was scared for
I see.
me. She she's a very caring person. She did not let me on because she does not care.
Hmm.
It was not easy for her. Um, but I feel that aren't as people that aren't us have less lenience on what is and isn't okay in that situation. What isn't a good idea because they
Hmm.
don't really see us as people. They see me as someone who's unstable and her as someone who allowed this unstable person back onto this account, which that's not a summary of me or
Hmm.
the situation. That's a very like from the lens of someone who only knows that, that's how it seems. But we're people. We live our lives. It's been a lot of has happened while only being uh, a month and a half since all that.
Speaking of people that portray you as crazy, segue. Let's talk about the Copenith video. Copenith is a
Mm.
content creator, also known as Beckett, and there's a second person that runs the account. Jenny, I believe, is her name. And they made a video that features Michelle and Claire and a lot of other people on the polar opposite, I suppose, of this. They bring up a lot of things about you, a lot of things about Amy New, and also Sophie Shrugs. And most of it was mostly just kind of explaining how bad the KP video was. KP was in that video, which I was very shocked by. To be fair though, she's talking to a lot of people,
Yeah.
that
I,
slug guy that I'm like, why would you even fucking talk to him? But
yeah,
it's
I think she talks to anyone who asks, honestly.
literally, yeah, that's what the feeling I was getting. I'm just like, if I were, I know so much about Slug that I would have advised her absolutely do not talk to Slug. But that video comes out. It's like 2 hours. I don't exactly remember absolutely everything from it, but I did take notes somewhere. It's just not in front of me. Uh, what was your opinions of that one? I know that you're probably not super pleased with it, considering how you've kind of referred to Beckett as a. I don't even know. You were very much alluding to not liking
He's
that
a right
video.
wing loser.
Yeah. Okay. There it is. I suppose. Yeah. What is your
Yeah,
opinions of the video? What's the problems with it that you have?
I haven't watched it. I refuse to watch it. I know things that happen in it. I've seen parts of it
Hmm.
that have been sent to me. Um, and I know that some of the people that are talked about in it have told me about their sections on it and how bullshit it is. So I don't want to even promote that video. Um,
You
and
don't
I
even
don't
want to.
care to watch it.
You don't want to give it a watch at all to see what was even said.
I think this person shouldn't be allowed online in a legal sense. Um,
Why is that?
because they're like an Alex Jones type. They're like a Keemstar. They want they don't just want attention. They want attention and they're willing to put anything out to do it. Um, and so far, like since releasing their video, they have made posts on their account, insulting everyone and harassing everyone that they talk about, including Amy. Like we're not going out of our way to talk to them. They're going out of their way to poke us as like a they're trying to get a reaction.
Hmm.
Um, they have since also like found old fanfics that I wrote from when I was a minor. Not problematic in any way, just fanfics that I wrote when I was young, and they're not the greatest. And
Hmm.
just make fun of it and brag and go like, haha, it's so funny that look what they did,
Hmm.
and it's just really telling. Like none of this is relevant in the slightest. It's just to like insult and harass.
Right.
And I know people were gonna be like, oh, he's trying to use what happened as an excuse, but I literally tried to kill myself a month ago, and this is what they're doing. I don't even talk to these people, and they're just like, going into my past and trying to laugh at things that aren't even a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Like, um, they stalk my accounts and post anything that they think will get a bad reaction, uh, or good reaction to the people that want bad for me. Like I posted a Kofi link on my personal Blue Sky because I was doing financially worse than I had expected. And I've been in the red a bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's been. I don't want to get into that because I
No,
don't
it's
want to like.
fine. It's whatever. It's personal. I get it, but
Yeah, my point is just that I was in a really tough spot. I don't do that lightly. Ask for money. And I wasn't asking anyone specifically, and I also wasn't asking through the Brony Fando accounts at all. I wouldn't do that. But they were posting it as if like, oh look what they're doing. Oh, like they're trying to like get everything they can out of all this. But it's removed from all of that, and it's because I was in a bad place, financially, and they're just making fun of that. It's cruel and unusual. It's not a problem that I'm doing.
right. So, can I
Um,
just ask, like, because you call him alt right, what gives you that impression that he's alt right? I suppose.
well, I've dealt with people like this a lot. I kind of pick up on the subtexts more than the people. I know a lot of people are going to go, "Oh, so he just thinks highly of his like perspective," but no, not necessarily. But he follows like only 11 people, and two of them are Keemstar. Um, these people they say things that are like slogans in their circles. And a lot of those slogans are telling of their environment. Cope and Seethe is one of them, and that is literally their name.
Right, but
They are a rage baiter, and they're outwardly saying so, and they are using that slogan that is primarily used by people who are trying to get reactions out of people in like usually like L, in an anti-LGBT or anti minority sense. Th-
I mean, you don't think it could have just been that it's just more edgy and not like linked to like alt right isms? Because like when I think alt right, I think of somebody who uses like a Nazi dog whistle, and I don't know if Cope and Seed
that's
is
what they
necessarily is like a
not
Nazi dog
that one
whistle.
is not necessarily a Nazi dog whistle, but it is a right-wing dog whistle.
Okay.
Um, th- they do dog whistle quite a bit. I don't know if they're specifically a Nazi, but they are alt-right. Um, I it's hard to explain this kind of thing because if I were to go through their account right now and list things, they would just go, "Look how crazy they're being. They're saying that this term is means this. I don't mean it that way." And then a lot of people would go, "Yeah, totally. He's being crazy." But that's the point. They gaslight.
So you
I,
said you haven't watched the whole video, but you've seen parts of it. What parts of it have you seen?
I've seen sections that people have sent to me directly. And I've been told other parts of it through word of mouth. I've tried to avoid it both because I feel like this person isn't someone worth giving attention to, but
I mean,
also
no,
because sorry, go on.
I completely understand it from yours. Like I mean, the video doesn't talk kindly on me either. Like, so I
Mhm.
completely understand from an avoidance perspective, but at the same time, they have Michelle and Claire both in the video. Do you not think that that's something maybe you should hear out a little bit? I mean, especially since they're people that you've had
Not
interaction with
really.
online.
I mean, like what all they do, from what I understand, is repeat that they don't feel that they're victims, which is not new information to me.
Mm-hmm.
It, like I've I feel that this video would just be upsetting to watch for me and I'd like to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
But also I feel like the video is just gonna be and from what I've seen is people saying things and then Copenith nodding aggressively with those things.
Mm-hmm.
Not it's not information. It's not new contexts. It's just disagreeing and
Mm-hmm.
then everyone going, there you have it, folks. I know that a lot of it is them talking on me and Sophie and trying to paint us in the worst light. And I know some of the things that they're saying are just complete bullshit. So if there is more in there, you really have to trust it in the midst of people that really are intentionally lying. So I don't think there's anything of value there because if there are things that are real, you can't figure out what it is because Claire says things like Sophie uh made her pet a pet snail at a con because Claire felt that she would be at threat of being talked about poorly by Sophie if she didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Which when you think about that scenario, it's insane.
Right.
And I've heard what actually happened in that scenario, and it is insane. And Claire knows it's not true. That's the thing. She's lying on intentionally. So I don't feel like I need to hear what else she has to say because I the things that Griffin did, regardless of how she feels about it, shouldn't have happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's not if it was not happening to Claire, it wouldn't change my opinion of it. There are things that shouldn't have happened, and not just to Claire. And Claire defends all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time she lies about it. So I don't feel like she's a reliable narrator for any of it. So her opinion doesn't really change anything for me. To an extent, I feel empathy, and I'm sorry that she had to go through the things that she went through. But if she's going to use how she perceives things to also like diminish what happened to Destiny, what happened to the victim on Snapchat, happened to the all the others, Dorothy, Jill, um, all the racism, like it's just too much to really. I'm not great at talking. I'm
No, it's
sorry.
fine. It's fine. I am kind of confused because you said that that Cope and Seeth shouldn't be on YouTube in a legal sense. Could
Mhm.
you elaborate what you meant by that? Like, what do you mean by legal?
Well, I I don't think what they so I mean two things by that
Mm-hmm.
because one part of that video is legal, but
How
two,
so?
I feel that Claire posts her therapy appointment audio in that video.
Mm-hmm.
And that's illegal in two ways. One, she can't do that without the consent of everyone in that room, and even if her, even if she, like, well, a lot of states are one party consent based.
Mm-hmm.
Therapy sessions are not the same thing as in a public setting.
Okay.
Or like they are under different restrictions. They are much more private.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of more akin to recording a court section a session or something else in a legal sense than it is to recording a Discord call.
Right.
Um, so she's just not allowed to do that, regardless of what the contents are. Um, but aside from that, she also spliced it in ways to make it sound like conversations that didn't happen happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and manipulating that audio is also illegal. Like not even in like a well, this might be illegal, this might be a gray area. No, both of these things are illegal and and probably will get this video removed. Uh, in at some
Well,
point.
how do you know that?
I said probably because
Probably. Oh.
physically they are illegal, and if action is taken to it, the video will be removed. I don't know. Um, but like that depends on if action is taken on it by people, and also if YouTube takes it seriously enough, because YouTube their track record for things isn't great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but aside from all that, I feel like a lot of the video is very blatant slander. Like not they're not trying to present people with information. They're trying to stir up a fight. I don't believe that even they believe everything they're saying. Um, but that part is not actually illegal. I just believe they shouldn't be allowed on YouTube to do things like that,
Right.
where their intent is to uh just sling mud for the sake of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So that's what I guess the legality sense of it is what I was curious about. Because you said they shouldn't be here on a legal sense, and you're talking about how it's not legal to record a therapy session. And I mean, I don't know really the laws on that. Again, I'm not a lawyer.
mhm.
But in terms of like consent, right? I mean, therapy sessions get recorded all the time by both therapists and their patients. If she's releasing this cover, like this audio file, right? She, as
Mhm.
the patient, has the right to do that. She is like a patient rights
Legally, no.
based on what? I mean, she's the
The
patient.
therapist could lose their job
Okay,
if
how do
for
you know
her
that?
doing that.
How do you know that the therapist didn't give her permission?
Well, there's two things to that. One, I don't know that, but it's possible, but I would believe probably that's not the case because of the second thing, which is they're not the only two people in the room, and all of the people involved in that would have to be consenting for that.
Right.
Um,
It was
so
so the three people in that room, because I've seen the video, were herself, her father,
mhm,
and the therapist, correct?
yes,
So we don't know if the therapist has or has not given her information about whether or not they consented, right? And I'm assuming you don't know the therapist personally. It's not like you've asked.
no, I don't.
So you don't know her therapist. We can't immediately assume whether or not the therapist, you
I'm
know,
not assuming. I'm not assuming that. I'm not saying that I know for a fact or not whether the therapist gave consent for
right.
that. All I know is that all three people in that party most definitely did not give consent. And if that is the case, and the therapist allowed this anyways, then that would mean the therapist broke the law as well, which I don't think they would have done. So I do believe, based on that, that this was Claire's doing alone.
Okay, but that's what I'm trying to whittle down, right? We can't assume it was the therapist that knew about this because we don't know the therapist. We
Yes.
can assume
If they
that
didn't know
by
about this, Claire is still breaking the law.
okay,
And
but
the therapist can lose their job for what Claire is doing.
okay, but she
It,
also can't release that audio without the permission of that therapist. And if she released it, then she would have to sorry, she would have had to ask the therapist anyway. So the only person that leaves to have not be 100% giving their consent would have been Ian. So my
well,
question
no, I'm
is,
saying that Claire recorded it on her own. I'm not saying that the therapist had this recording and gave it to Claire. I'm saying that they didn't know about it.
okay, but if she's releasing it to the public, she has
Mhm.
to ask the therapist first if she can release it to the public. Otherwise, it
Legally,
wouldn't be
yes.
get released to the
Legally,
public.
she would have to have the consent of everyone to have even recorded it in the first place.
Right. But we can't just, because we don't know the therapist, we can't assume whether or not they had that conversation. So that all that leaves is Ian. Do you
Mhm.
know if Ian did or did not give consent?
I don't think there's a reason for him to have given consent for that. Um,
I mean, why not?
I
I mean, if they're doing a group therapy session together and therapy sessions get recorded all the time for the sake of the patients, he could have
that's not
wanted that.
necessarily. Hold on. Not that's not as common as it.
I mean, I'm speaking on this on behalf of someone who's had her therapy sessions recorded because I asked. Like, I've been to therapy. Like, I know that this
Yes.
happens a lot more than
I'm not
because
saying that it doesn't happen, and I'm not saying it's not a common practice. All what I'm saying is that I don't believe what was done was legal. I suppose I cannot prove that it was done illegally. I will concede to that.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you assuming it's illegal in the sense of what the of how it was perceived by the therapist? Because if she's releasing out to the public, obviously she consents. But like, is it basis on the fact of how Ian feels about the video, like the audio recording, or how
I
the
don't
therapist
believe the
does?
audio was recorded with knowledge by either of the other two parties. I don't believe Claire got their consent. I don't believe they were aware of what she was doing, which is illegal, if that's what happened.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how you would come to that conclusion, though. Like, unless if you've personally spoken to these people, because I don't want you to be like talking on behalf of others that you haven't spoken to.
Mhm. Well, the second part, regardless of this, is illegal. The fact that she spliced it, she took the audio and changed it up.
What's the
Um,
legality
pe
behind that?
well,
Like,
it's just misinformation. It's just slander. Like
oh,
it is her altering and tampering evidence to paint a specific picture. Obviously, courts are kind of behind when it comes to the internet, so uh, this kind of thing might be in a more gray area, but audio recordings are a lot more easy for older generations to wrap their head around still. So the fact that it is altered and switched is a lot more straightforward.
right. Uh, all right. I mean, I guess I was just curious about that just because we don't talk about Ian a lot in context. I know in my video I did, and I know that Claire has made accusations against him. I'm not sure how necessarily you feel about those accusations, really.
I don't know what happened in their home. I also don't think it changes anything with Griffin. All of the things I think about him are out there. Aside from some more stuff that I was told by parties that are not ready to come forward. Everything I know from about Griffin is information that I've presented. So regardless of if Ian was abusive or not, it doesn't make Griffin not abusive.
Right.
Um, so my opinion on Ian is that I don't know. I'm not Ian. I've I once talked to Ian at a convention. I think this was 2017, maybe. BronyCon. I talked to him about the Yeah, this might have been 2017 because that was immediately after the Ratchet and Clank movie. Because I talked to him about he was going to star in the Sly Cooper movie as Sly Cooper, and I talked to him because he had no line because everyone was there to see his daughter, who was sitting with Black Griffin at her booth, which is not something that anyone else was doing. He was not like one of the main guests, and yet he was in that room with everyone.
Right.
Um, but he didn't have a line, so I was talking to him about that. And it was a nice conversation, but that was the extent of any conversation I've ever had with him.
He's
It's
never like talked to you about because I mean you're talking about his daughter pretty publicly and you have like you're one of the main accounts that right like is pushing for the story so he has never like interacted
I have not
with that
talked
or
with him since that moment. No, that was before I ever called out Griffin or even thought ill of him. Um, and then years later, I started calling out Griffin, and I've not talked to Ian once and since then. I think he probably knows everything that's going on. I'm not gonna lie, but I have not talked to him personally. Um, I don't think he's manipulating things behind the scenes because I operate regardless of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I haven't talked to him. He hasn't talked to me.
Right.
All the things I post aren't things provided to me by him, like some have theorized for.
Yeah, Claire has
Um,
theorized that because when she first noticed you, she thought it was her dad.
like I said, my initial reason for calling him out at all
Mm-hmm.
was because of the racist posts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was happening in real time. So the theory that Ian was manipulating me and tricking me into doing this is kind of crazy given what I know happened to me in real time. And the fact that both Claire and Billy Bustup's team have pitched the idea that I am either him or an operative for him. Uh, it's silly.
Right.
And I wish people saw that more.
Mm-hmm. Has he ever spoke? Because I know Sophie Shrugs did con stuff. Is that like something that maybe has she ever had a conversation with him? Because you said you met him at a con and had a nice conversation. Did she ever meet him at a con?
I don't know. I can't really talk about, like, I don't want to talk for other people.
Fair
All I can
enough.
say for certain is that I have not talked to him.
Okay. Oh, what else? I guess I had a question about whether or not you would ever want to have a conversation with Copenith. I'm going to take a guess and say that your answer is going to be no.
I don't want anyone to have a conversation with Copenith. In fact, if all of the information that was in that video was represented by you and then I could react to that, I would
Mm-hmm.
do that. Because
Oh.
I don't have, like, I don't want people thinking that, like, I'm hiding something trying to get them to not look at his video. I
Mm-hmm.
just think he's a shit person and I don't want
Okay.
any attention going his way.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess that answers my question. I suppose that answers that for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess we can get into Mr. Entrick's video now because you said that you liked the interview with Emily, which I feel like the interview with Emily was important enough so that she can at least not be anonymous anymore because Reddit already figured out who she was like really quickly. So the fact
Yeah.
that she has a say in her own testimony is very important. So that's cool. But you said you didn't particularly like his video and you were going to react to it at some point. Uh, I mean, what's your issues with it? I mean, I thought that he took a pretty middle of the road approach, which I think is the safest thing to do if you're gonna. Because I mean, presenting allegations like this in any sense, like no matter what they are, is kind of a risk to your career. Like you have to kind of understand he's trying to play it safe.
Well, he highlighted Cope and Seed as a reliable source, which I think is a stupid move.
Okay.
But also, he presented a lot of information regarding Griffin as uh, he was very dismissive of a lot of it and presented some of it, but not some of the more damning stuff. But didn't like I said this earlier, but when he presents some of it, but not the full picture,
Mm-hmm.
people are going to get the sense that this is like a summary of it at the very least, and it's not an accurate summary either.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the document very passively, saying that like there's like a shotgun attempt at uh, calling Griffin out when it's I don't really see it that way.
Okay.
Um, I think that all of the things in the document are actual condemning evidence. It's just
Mm-hmm.
that some of it is not so much as other parts.
Mm-hmm.
None of it is nothing,
Mm-hmm.
but some of it is a lot more than other parts, and that's why it's in sections.
Right.
Um, and I think it did a lot of harm to just agree with Cope and Seethe and go document not really that important because this is like it's stuffed with information.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that Griffin was a monster just from the racist post alone, and I still do.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else just makes it all that much worse. It just has made it so much worse, and dismissing that just feels crazy to me.
Well,
And then,
I think
He
it's.
gets more information where he reveals the Mando Pony stuff, and
Mm-hmm,
then he hypes that up because it feels like to me that he found that information, so it's important to him. But the other information, he's just reading that, and he doesn't like me, so he connects the document with me, even though I didn't write it, and says that once I'm out of the hospital, I'll probably harass him. Um, so he's very dismissive of all of everything that came before him.
mm-hmm,
And the Mando Pony information, while I think it is a good find, I don't think it's like the most revolutionary twist in all of this. And the video with Michelle it is another inappropriate video. It's gross to look at.
mm-hmm,
Um, but it is one of multiple other videos that are also in the document that he didn't really care about. But it's new information that he found.
mm-hmm.
So it comes across to me as more a personal like in personal investment versus actual presenting information
Mm-hmm.
and concern for the situation.
Right. Well, I mean, if it means anything, he didn't say that you wrote the document. He said that you shared the
I know.
document, like which he says in your defense wouldn't technically be a evidence of defamation if you didn't write it yourself. You're just sharing information. So it's not that he's saying that the documents are nothing. I mean, he didn't even say the documents like all nothing. He said there are things in there like the DeviantArt comments are objectively creepy, and there are videos that were put in the document where he's like, yeah, no, these are objectively really fucking weird. Like, it's not that he's saying there's nothing in there. It's just that you have to weave through what's more important, what's not. Because my thing is that like the main accusation that most people say is the most damning for sure is that he's a groomer. When you bring up he's a racist, also, it's like not that no one cares about racism. It's more so like, okay, what do we care more about? Like offhanded ignorance or intentionally being malicious to children? Like, I think
I
we.
disagree pretty strongly with that perception.
Okay.
I don't think that they are things that you can compare. Not because one is lesser, but because I'm not going to try to compare. I think they're
Right.
both horrendous actions, and
Mm-hmm.
they can both be called out.
Sure.
And the reason I keep trying to bring attention to it, especially recently,
Mm-hmm.
is because every time it's talked about, the people who defend Griffin
Mm-hmm.
ignore that. They don't want to even touch it. Billy Bustup's response document didn't even show any of that, despite the fact that they were trying to make people believe that they were showing the information against Griffin and then countering it.
Mm-hmm.
They purposely left all of the racist stuff out. Um,
Well, again, it's because their prerogative is to prove he's not doing anything. Because, I mean,
no, but
let's.
they touched on the topic of him being alt right, quote unquote, which is
Okay.
not something I or other people that I've seen have accused him of. But
Mm-hmm.
there is a huge section of my thread of the document of other things where we talk about racist things that he's done that would go against the morals of their game, even and their
Mm-hmm.
community.
Right.
And they act like they cover the accusation by making up a different accusation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they know about all of that, and they don't talk about it. Um, and it's because I feel like they know that they can tell people, hey, this isn't grooming because everyone's cool with it. And a lot of people that don't understand the nuances of people and what is and isn't inappropriate will go, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Why should I have a problem with something if and and you, sorry,
No, it's fine.
I was about to get on a tangent and then I stopped myself and then I lost track of myself.
No, it's fine. Well, I think the prerogative for them is to prove that he didn't do the thing that is like absolute. Like, I mean, shit. You're accusing him of doing something illegal, like grooming,
Mhm.
and then also sending dick pics is illegal.
Yeah.
Racism in and of itself, as bad as it is not illegal. Like they can condemn the stuff he said on Twitter, but that's the most that
But
they
they
can do. They
don't.
can't pull.
And I
I
think
mean,
that's
they
telling.
don't. Yeah, I get that they don't really, but their main prerogative is like, do we want to keep somebody on our team that's committed a crime?
I think the
Like,
racist stuff should be reason enough to not want him working in them in any respect either. I don't think that that's justifiable.
I
I
get
don't
that,
think
but
that
they're a
any of
company
this
and
is
that's their choice.
justifiable.
Right. Well, I get
It
that.
is a company and that's their choice, but I want people to understand what they've done and like not work with them either if they're going to choose that. I don't think that racism should be excused. I don't think even if it's not, even if I were to compare everything and say that this is the lesser battle, it's still enough that they should have dropped him. I think that is something that I cannot concede on because it would be immoral for me to.
That's fair enough.
I I think that the reason that they don't touch that is because it is so black and white what happened that they can't defend it.
Oops.
And
Ow.
even with Copenith, when I was talking about um on Twitter and Blue Sky the other day about how people still try to ignore the racist stuff and try to dismiss it. He intentionally only screenshotted the part where I explain why I'm bringing that up and then laughed about it. He didn't screenshot the parts where I talk about what racist stuff Griffin did. He doesn't go into that. He just says it's crazy for me to be talking about this. That's what happens with all these people.
Right.
They can't talk about it because if they do not condemn it, it looks bad. And if they do condemn it, then it's not only getting the word out that he did do all that, but it is also still like being tolerant of it because he did all that, but we're not really focused on that. So we're not gonna. It doesn't matter to us.
Sure.
Um, I think if all of the pedophile stuff did not happen, everything that's accused of him and everything that's proven that he did also did not happen, and all that was left is the racist stuff, people should still drop him.
Is that like ultimately your goal with this? Is to have him dropped from everything?
My goal is not about him. It's about people not being able to do that, being able to be so harmful, to harm children, to be racist openly and then chill with everyone like nothing happened. I think that allowing all of that makes it worse in general as a society.
Right.
Um, I use the word. I know people will meme it, but um, it love and tolerate. People put up with something enough, it becomes normalized, and then you have a pony fandom that has a huge section of Nazis. Um, I don't think these racist posts are okay in any regard. He never apologizes for them. The most he does is apologize that people took it the wrong way. He doesn't talk about the things he's liked that are horrendously racist and transphobic. He doesn't talk about the videos where he does a whole like black costume and impression and gets a minor to do it with him on two separate occasions. Uh, he because he can't, and none of his defenders can talk about it either. I think it's very telling. Um, and I don't want it to overshadow the other accusations, the grooming, the sending pictures, the being with this child all the way until she's an adult and then marrying her. I don't want it to overshadow that, but I think it's a very strong argument because of how they refuse to even go near it.
All right. Well, I guess I suppose I can see that too from your perspective is like looking at the picture as a whole rather than just like, just being dismissive of some things because it's not as bad, I suppose.
Yeah,
But
I
I
think it doesn't. I don't think it should be considered not as bad. I don't think I want to consider it worse or better.
Hmm.
I don't think it matters. I think it just shouldn't have happened, and the fact that he refuses to uh, apologize or retract any of that
Hmm.
is enough. I don't think he should be forgiven simply because time passed. I think he should only, if he were to be regretful of that and would want to be seen as not thinking like that still, then it's up to him to change that. It's not up to me to hide that.
Right. All right. Well, I'm just curious because I'm trying to figure out like what future goals you have with the Brony fandom account. Like I'm just trying to figure out what your motive is. Like I mean I can accept that you are working offhanded on this just kind of on your own, especially since Sophie's no longer running the account for reasons. But I mean, what do you want happening to Saber Spark and Gabriel? Like what's the goal there?
I think that they've used their platforms to harm people,
Hmm.
and I don't think they can be trusted to have platforms because they could harm more people.
Okay.
I think that also them not receiving consequences causes other people to be able to get away with the same things.
Right.
I think that it has to be there can't be people that are just allowed to do horrible things and then keep going like nothing happened.
Right.
Obviously there are extents to all of that, like I don't know, if someone came back after 30 years after something that wasn't like, child abuse. um I'm get that's a let me retry that.
Like let's say for example, the only thing that was against Black Griffin was just the racism, and it's like 10 years down the road, and he's like visibly like changed as a person that might be
Yeah,
a little different.
if that was the only thing, and then he later down the line was like, "Hey, I'm sorry for all that. I understand if you don't want to support me still, but like I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and I genuinely want to prove that that is not me." And if he means it,
Hmm.
then yeah, like that's very different. And I was using this example up until recently because I think something happened, but I know that iDubbbz is a YouTuber. I never watched him personally,
Hmm.
but he had a long controversial past, and then there was a gap, and he came back, and then he was making videos, and then a little bit after that, he made this huge apology video where he apologized for a lot of the things he did in the past, the transphobia, racism, and he really went in depth on how he understood that that would never should have happened.
Yeah.
And because he did it without like it being a reaction to someone calling him out, and because he was so in depth with it, I felt it was a very genuine and good response that made me believe, okay, that's great. I was never like a subscriber to him in the first place, so I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch you now. But I appreciated it. But I think something happened recently, or there's something came out, so I don't know. I'm just saying that that is a context where I wouldn't be going around talking about how like I would never watch iDubbbz because like he made that good video
Hmm.
and made a good analysis of what he did that seems to be him actually having reflected and changed.
Right.
Um and if and that's the thing, like he did racist stuff that harm people,
Hmm.
but he wanted to make amends, and after that point, if people don't accept that, you have to be okay with that because you did those horrible things. Those are really bad things.
Hmm.
You don't really get to be forgiven just because you want to be. You have
Right.
to understand that the things you did have impacts that are greater than that. And so if Griffin only did all the racism stuff and then what seemed genuinely remorseful, that'd be a different situation. But then you got to add all of the predatory stuff,
Hmm.
and all the times he lied about the predatory stuff.
Right.
Uh, like, no matter what you believe when it comes to Claire or even Destiny, um, there are a lot of things that aren't excusable that is he's proven to have done, and a lot of times he's blatantly said something that wasn't true about all this.
Mhm.
And I think saying he's innocent is just lying.
Mhm.
At this point, he has done things in response to being called out that make him guilty, if not for everything, for some things.
Well, I suppose that like most people want to like have something that's not so much of a mixed bag. I guess is the thing where it's just like, well, if these things aren't true, why are they in here? And if this is true, then it should be in here. But these things,
I don't really present things that are like whenever anything is an accusation,
mm,
we the document specifies that.
right.
Sometimes I think it needs to be a little bit less nuanced because sometimes it's a little bit more black and white. I feel
Mm-hmm.
the situation, but um, there is a lot in there that isn't just like word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it isn't.
Right.
Um, but people want to act like it is, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel that is very careless.
Right. So, is there any critique that you have gotten, at least online, that you feel that you have at least taken to heart and you see where people are coming from? Because there are a lot of them, and I'm not. You seem, at least in this video, a little hyper aware of how people will perceive it. So, obviously, you must have at least heard some critique.
Even when I do things that I regret,
Mm-hmm.
I am aware that sometimes I get angry because of how things go. And I
Yeah.
feel that anger is justified, but it does lead me to not be as precise as I'd like to be.
Mm-hmm.
And people take that as, oh, he's just emotional.
Right.
But I think that that is an unfair assessment because emotions isn't inherently a bad thing, and I feel that a lot of this is upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
People should be more upset.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I recognize that I have a harder time getting people to see what I'm talking about if I am using more emotion.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel that that is not the most fair way to assess physical information. However,
Mm-hmm.
um, like I said, I do think that I messed up with bringing things up on the public timeline that I was not given permission to.
Right.
I should not have done that. I was I was under a lot of oh, I was overwhelmed at the time, but it doesn't excuse me doing that. I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
Um, but I don't think that I am responsible for KP's video. I don't think that I have slandered anyone. I don't think people are right to say that I've ruined all chances of people getting justice. Because that's just such a broad thing to say. It dismisses the victims on the person saying that's end.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that no one should trust anything about any of this anymore because of you, which is making it's bringing that into the world. So it's them doing the harm at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish people would see that more.
Right.
Um, like even if you think that I have not handled things amazingly,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean that people should be disregarded outright.
Right, and I think
And
that's what Enter's video was more getting into, and why he decided to look into it, because he's just like, to set like, it's more important that we focus on what is actually being said instead of who's attached to it, which is why he decided to talk to Emily himself and separate you guys from it, so that at least people hear what she has to say.
yeah, it's just that a lot of the video is also about Griffin, but very casually. He talks about it for a while, but he doesn't go in depth enough to give the full story on it,
Mm-hmm.
while also like I understand that it's not meant to be what the video is about,
Well,
but
the
he
only
goes on.
the only reason that the Black Griffin stuff gets brought up at all was just because that was one of the reasons at least Emily gave us to wanting to talk about it, was because she saw the Black Griffin's coverage, saw that Saber Spark was defending him, and it triggered her enough to want to talk about it. That's why we couldn't kind of not talk
Yeah.
about the Black Griffin stuff, because it's
No, I
like,
understand that.
you know.
That's not the part I have an issue with. It's just that instead of bringing that up and leaving it at that,
Mm-hmm.
or going in depth about it because of how connected it is, it's talked about enough to give an opinion on it
Mm-hmm.
that I feel dismisses a lot of the crucial information with it, while
Mm-hmm.
also not going into it enough to explain things to people who don't know what's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
they get an idea from it that is, this is everything, but it's not that big of a story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wish it had gone either other way, where either it was said that, okay, a lot of stuff happened with this other creator, Black Griffin, that led to Emmy wanting to come out. We're not going to really touch on that here, but like you can, here's resources to see that. Um, I wish it had either gone that way or Enter had made a whole section dedicated to going on over every important part. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously there is a lot of minutia, but he doesn't go over all the most crucial moments either.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the middle ground really does a lot of disservice to everything,
Okay.
which hurts the whole setting,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it does tie back to Saber because Saber defends Griffin in his
Right.
response video.
Right. Exactly. Like, it's kind of hard not to talk about the Black Griffin thing, considering that, Saber uses that as an opportunity to defend him. And I think that was Enter's whole point in even bringing it up. It's just like, this is supposed to be a video that defends you and what you're getting accused of. To use what you're getting accused of as an opportunity to defend this guy who has like documents out on him right now, and people like actively looking into this and citing that whatever he did was wrong. Is that really what you want to be doing right now? Is that the smart move? And he's like, I don't think it necessarily was, because like, you know it.
I just think a really telling part is that a lot of the response to Enter's video was people who were on one side thinking the video supported that, and people who were on the other side also thinking the video supported that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I saw people that thought the entire Black Griffin and Saber Spark situation was bullshit, citing the video as proof that they were right. And I've
Mm-hmm.
seen people on the exact opposite side of all of it doing the same, which
Right.
tells me that I don't think it did what it was trying to do. And I know it's trying to present information in an unbiased way, but I think what it genuinely ended up doing was being so it was attempting to be so legally okay that it wouldn't get them enter in trouble
Mm-hmm.
uh, to
I
the
mean,
point where
can you blame him though? I mean, like, shit.
oh, I understand. It's just that it it towed the line to a point where I felt like it was very much only giving one side. Um, I didn't think it was all that good. I know people have differing opinions, and I know people are gonna perceive that as, well, he talks bad about me, so that's why I don't like it. But I don't like Courtney either, and I think her video was pretty good. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. You seem to be a person of diverse opinion, kind of thing. It's not based on whether or not it talks negatively or positively about you. It's just like, this is, it's whatever you feel like does the best job at presenting the most important information.
The people involved in all this, I have now a very personal attachment to helping.
Mm-hmm.
People could perceive that as me being biased, but I, I trust Destiny. I
Mm-hmm.
trust the Snapchat victim. I talked to both of them, and I don't. They wouldn't be as emotional about all of this in the way that they are if this was all nonsense. they, they don't gain anything from this.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
and
what about Emily? What do you feel on her?
I don't I don't think she gains anything from this either. I believe what happened to her happened,
Hmm.
and I think that's been a horrible situation that has of how all this was handled. But people want to tie that back to the Griffin situation, so I feel like I have to defend myself so that people can see me as trustworthy, so that they can then trust Destiny and everyone else again, because I'm the one helping. So if they don't trust me, they don't trust anyone, and then it all falls apart.
Right.
And people see that as me putting myself in the middle of everything and act thinking that I'm like the center of the universe. But that's it's just that I'm the one who was running the account that
Hmm.
had posted all the information. So
Yeah.
if people want to throw the account away as a whole
Hmm.
because of how they perceive me, it's going to hurt other people too, and that upsets me because that's making them lose. That's making them hurt more.
Right. I okay. So I mean, I guess I suppose I can see that from your perspective. Like, you're very much focusing on how the victims feel, kind of thing, and I find that admirable. You know, and I just think that like in future, right, when it comes to, I think it was said best when Enter talked about it in a previous video about the whole Star Giant thing, that when it comes to doing this sort of thing, reputation truly is everything. You know what I mean? Like it
I just don't think I've done anything to ruin that. I think people really want to say that it has happened, but
yeah.
I don't think it has.
Well, I mean, there's one thing I think I should ask you about, and it's about
Okay.
reputational, and it's definitely about a criticism that I've seen of you, and it's in
Okay.
regards to how you defend Wootmaster.
Hmm.
Here's the thing about Wootmaster. Because I've talked about stories of this nature before, in regards to people like Earl Doobie, right? I don't. You probably don't know
Who's
who that
that?
is. That's
No,
the
I
White
don't.
Bowser. That's a guy who is really into drawn anime children. That's all I can really tell you
Hmm.
about it.
Okay.
So yeah, search him up. It's so much fun.
I'm all right, honestly.
Yeah,
I
no,
believe you.
yeah. So Wootmaster has had a history kind of with,
Hmm.
his artwork can kind of be seen as controversial, for
Hmm.
reasons being that like a lot of it involves like characters canonically underage or something like that. I'm
Hmm.
of the opinion that like, irregardless, as you say, I aged up the character. I think it's very, very weird to draw them in specific situations, irregardless of age. I feel like you probably don't feel the same way since you've defended Wootmaster. So can you just kind of explain to me your feelings on like Wootmaster as a content creator, because they've been in controversy before for this specific thing, and I just was curious about like why you would choose to defend that whilst also trying to like expose somebody else for grooming. It seems like a contradiction to be like, I'm okay with drawings of underage characters in certain situations, but I'm absolutely gonna die on the hill to say that somebody groomed somebody, kind of thing.
I think that's a very. I'm not trying to like be hostile or defensive.
Well,
I
I
just
mean,
think
if
that's
I'm
very
wrong about it,
short-sighted. No, no,
okay.
I just think it's entirely different. Like, not even like if you think one is bad or both are bad, that's fine.
Hmm.
I'm not even trying to debate that. I'm just trying to say that there are leagues different. And it seems very short-sighted to say that it's the same thing and contradictory. Um, because there are genuine people that exist that are being harmed, and multiple of them
Hmm.
in the Griffin situation.
Right.
And and I think that Woot fights for a lot of people that need help. I
Mm-hmm.
think he is very genuine in all that. If he ever did anything that Griffin did, I would not be so willing to defend him. In fact, I would probably just not talk to him ever again. And I don't really talk to him all that much to begin with.
Okay.
But he hasn't done anything to harm anyone, as far as I'm aware.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really the I don't want to argue this point because I don't think it matters to the grand scheme of everything, and I know people don't like when I argue this and they act like I'm ruining everything because I'm talking about it, but I'm only talking about it because people bring it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like artwork of fictional characters, regardless of what age or anything that they are, has any effect on real people unless it's a drawing of a real child, and that crosses the line greatly for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I if I had any thought that Wootmaster wanted to get with actual children, I would not be talking about Wootmaster
Mm-hmm.
in any good sense, at least.
Right.
Um, but I don't think that he has that. I don't believe that. Um, he's given me no reason to believe that, and I know people. I keep saying the same. I know people this. I know people that. I understand that there is a lot of things that would require explaining my stance on and explaining how what the differences are. And once I go into that, the conversation's too uncomfortable for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they don't listen to what I'm saying and they just go, he defended that thing. So therefore, she shouldn't be talking about anything ever. Um, but I don't think he has harmed anyone, and that's the difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it matters.
Well, I think we had a conversation, right, about like the whole Nazis and the Brony fandom, how normalizing
Yeah,
and like how normalizing certain things can also equally be harmful, right? If you're like
yeah.
being like, nah, this is normal, that's equally as bad, or saying like, nah, that's not as big of a deal, that's equally as bad. Could you not concede that maybe, drawing characters like that normalizes the idea that people of that age can be put in sexual situations and it can be seen as fine? Like, because that's the
I think that's a lot more fair of an argument than most people give. I agree that there is that you are making a fair argument there.
because that's my main
I,
argument when it comes to it, really.
mhm,
That's what I say to everyone. It's just like, sure, these characters may not be real, but drawing them sexualized,
mhm.
knowing the age that they are in the show, could normalize the idea for real kids that watch the show and love the show, seeing them like that, be like, oh, that could be normalized for me too. Like, that's my argument. It's normalization of something
Yeah,
that I don't think should be.
I believe that it should not be in a place where uh, people that people uncomfortable with it and people who are minors can see. It should not be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be posted willy nilly. Like I think that that is wrong.
Right.
Um, I like I said, I think that dissecting it, a lot of people will instantly feel uncomfortable because the topic of anything sexual can make a lot of people uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think a lot of people will not want to hear this next part, but I think that there is a lot of there's a lot of gray. There's a lot of differences and variables in all this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily that like Smolder the dragon from My Little Pony when Wootmaster looks at art of them or whatever. I don't think it's necessarily the fact that they are um like a minor character that is why he wants to see art of that. I think there's a lot of different variables where, and it's uncomfortable for me to talk about too. I don't like defending. I don't want a side in the war. I just don't think he's a bad person. I don't think he's hurt anyone. But I think that, but to explain why I think it is different, from, uh, sorry, what was your question again? I'm sorry.
I'm asking if you concede to the fact that like Wootmaster's artwork and the past artwork he's made that has been controversial
Mm.
normalizes certain things that are harmful and therefore shouldn't be defended.
Yeah, so I would compare that to like people that make like gore art.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would you make the argument that that is normalizing murder and therefore people are going to be more likely to murder? I think that is, while
Okay.
people don't want to see it that way, it is kind of one for one. Like, people think it's different, but that perception is just that one is normal to draw and one isn't. I think maybe it does normalize it in a way, and maybe that is bad, but I don't know enough to
Mm-hmm.
determine that that is happening. I just think that there are certain venues where if you want to do that, go for it. I don't, as long as it's not hurting anyone. If it's not of a real person who is not consenting to that, or is a child and therefore can't consent to that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really care if a cartoon dragon is being harmed because they aren't being harmed because they're not real. Um, so but in the sense of it being normalized, I guess I don't know for
Mm-hmm.
certain that it is helping actual predators get away with anything.
Well, I
I
mean,
think that, like, things like Grand Theft Auto, I think that there are violent people that really like violent games, but I don't think the violent games made them violent people, you know?
I suppose so, but I think it's more so how that artwork is being utilized, right? Like when
Mhm.
people use Grand Theft Auto, they don't use that as like a simulation to things that they're going to, do bad things in the
And I
future.
agree. But
You know,
I don't think that Woot is going to do the things either. I don't I think it's the same in that regard too.
sure, but like, why even introduce a sexual element to minor characters at all? Like, that doesn't seem very necessary. Like, you can sexualize characters that are adults, and that's like, they're in the territory of that to do so. But most people are just like, these are the essentially lolly characters, right? Like, it's like, do not lewd the lolly. That's like a big
Mhm.
thing in most fandoms. It's like, don't fucking do that shit. Like,
I think it's the
you know,
same I think it's a slippery slope argument, and I kind of hate that argument. I'm gonna be honest.
okay.
Like with the like with what I was saying with Grand Theft Auto, the same thing can also be applied where people, or a lot of like people were upset with Grand Theft Auto for depicting violence and allowing you to play as it, and they were saying that this was going to lead to more violence. Um, and you could make the same arguments for that, where, okay, well, why would you need to do that when you could have a game where you are nice to everyone?
Mm,
Why does it have to be an option?
right.
Um, I don't think it is necessarily a desire to do these things in real life. I don't
Mm,
think it has to translate to that. And I think that people who do have those inclinations were going to also gravitate to doing this out of real life anyways.
mm,
I don't think, I honestly, I think there might be something to it being so common and accepted that it becomes so widespread that people get away with more.
mm,
I think that could be a possibility, and that could lead to actual harm.
mm.
Like with you were comparing with the Nazi situation, I
Yeah.
can see that.
Mm,
I just can't confirm that that is happening. So I don't want, and I also feel pretty safe saying that Wootmaster isn't a predator.
right.
So I don't want to condemn him for that. And when he has fought for people, I don't want to dismiss that just because people are uncomfortable with some of the things he does separate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Same like I don't want people dismissing everything I'm talking about just because they don't agree with everything that happens separately. Like I don't feel that I've given anyone reason to distrust me, and
Mm-hmm.
people act like I have. So I would give the same courtesy to. I don't feel like he has given anyone reason to believe that he is going to do anything with an actual minor,
Mm-hmm.
or that he is untrustworthy when it comes to other things that he talks about.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't believe that I should condemn him just because people are uncomfortable with him for other things that he's not doing directly to them.
Right. Well, I suppose to put it into a little bit of perspective, like artwork like Woots, where it's like minor characters being drawn sexually, have been used to groom people. Am I saying he's necessarily doing that? No, but adding to the plethora of other shit that's on the internet that's being used to groom minors isn't really the legacy I would like to have. I wouldn't like to have that legacy of like, oh, my artwork was used by predators to groom other kids because I normalized the idea of kids having sex. Like that's just me, I suppose.
I think personally I would just condemn the people that are doing that. If there are people, and I know there are, don't get me wrong, I know there are people that use artwork to groom people, and I think the people that do that should be condemned wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's taking that and then adding more on top of it
Mm-hmm.
out of caution, and maybe that caution is warranted. I'm not saying it's. I'm not saying there's no. I'm not saying that you don't have any point at all.
Right.
I'm just saying that we can condemn the people grooming people, and I think we should. Um, I just don't think that Wootmaster is doing that, so I don't feel the need to condemn him.
Okay. Alright, I mean, I guess that's where we just kind of agree to disagree, I suppose. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up or talk about? Any future plans that you have? Like, what's your current operative at this moment?
I don't have many. When it comes to the Brony fandom, I don't have any plans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I if there's more information that comes to light, I want to present it to people, and I want to get people back on track with making sure that people don't get away with horrendous things.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they do, people get hurt, and then it becomes normalized. I understand that people will interpret that as hypocritical. I just don't see the artwork as inherently harmful.
Okay.
Um, but I do think that uh, being inappropriate with actual children repeatedly and also allegedly sending minors your penis is inherently harmful and in a lot less of a gray area. Uh, so I want to make sure that that doesn't get a pass. And the racist comments and posts and likes and videos
Mm-hmm.
and anyone who acts like it is fine. I don't want them to get a pass. I want this to be look how bad this is. Everyone is on board knowing how bad it is. So no so it stops being a problem that people have to face because everyone's on the same page that
Mm-hmm.
this isn't okay.
Right. Do you at least concede to the fact that, like, given, Destiny's account doesn't have the actual conversations, and even with the Snapchat account, yes, she can prove she's talked to Black Griffin. I'm not going to disagree that that's not what's being presented, but they don't have the evidence of flirtatious conversations. The only thing that comes close is just the Jai stuff, which I can't argue is not incredibly weird and creepy. Like that is objectively very strange. But can you at least concede the fact that, like, their stories is just that, just a testimony for now. I'm not saying that they are lying. I know you say that you have no reason to believe that they are lying, and I don't know them personally, so I can't like point and say you are definitely a liar. I don't know. I don't know these
Mm-hmm.
people. I've only talked about them tangentially through content. Like, but can you at least concede to the fact that all we have right now is just their word? That's not to say that they are lying, but it's all we got right at this moment.
I believe people should believe victims.
Okay.
I don't think that they need mountains of evidence to be believed. I
Mm-hmm.
think that they have mountains of evidence, but I don't think they needed it. And I think people want to separate them from everything else because it makes it easier to dismiss them as potentially wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But things keep happening, things keep coming out. Like
Mm-hmm.
where you were just talking about how you agree that the DeviantArt comments are very, very weird and creepy.
Right.
Um, but that was only found much later after all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
This all is part of the same situation. This all adds to the same conclusion.
Right.
Um, the more that comes out, it's not, oh, this is something that's bad coincidentally. It's something that exists because the other stuff happened as well. This is all the same scenario. It's all the same situation.
Right.
I I believe that people should be assessed so that like if they are known to be a liar, then they can be believed less. Boy who cried wolf.
Mm-hmm.
But Destiny doesn't do that. So there's no reason to disbelieve her. And I think that because she says what happened to her happened, that should be enough for people. I think it's disheartening that it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Emmy was called a liar for reasons that aren't fair. Um, so I think that there was a lot of wolves, the boy who cried wolves, calling her a liar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People that were liars themselves also lying about her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the people need to be able to assess situations better. People need to be able to come to better conclusions on given information. But having a lack of definitive proof, like not having a videotape or the actual image of what he gave,
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't be the definitive thing for so many people. I think victims should be believed more. I
Right.
think that there will be times when there is a lot less evidence than there is for this situation,
Mm-hmm.
and you see how much there is for this situation, and people still don't believe it, and I
Right.
I, I think that sucks.
But I think it just comes with the territory of the internet. I mean, people are gonna believe what they're gonna believe. You know, I, and I don't even necessarily disagree with you. I even say in my own video, not every single victim is gonna have all the evidence out in front of them. Like, even for a lot of like other situations, like I can't. There's not one that comes to mind like immediately, but I know there was like a couple situations that came out where there's not really a lot of evidence. It's just the victim's word, but because of how the
Yeah,
person responded to that victim's testimony, people are like, "Oh, this person's telling the truth." Like, because the response was so bad, and maybe that's what's
yeah,
been going on with the Black Griffin stuff is that he's had such a bad response so far that people are like, "Oh, there's no way you didn't do this because what you're presenting as your defense is not good," kind of thing. But even then, I don't know if that's definitive. You know what I mean? Like, it's like evidence is great because at least that points to a direction. At least that gives people something. At least that shows intent and stuff like that. But when you don't have that, the safest thing you can do is just be like, I will believe you, of course, like believe victims, of course, but also just be careful because you never know. Like stuff
yeah.
can come out, like things can happen.
I I think that caution is important,
Mm-hmm.
but I think victims should be believed if critical thinking involved. Victims should still be believed for the most part.
Hmm.
And then in this situation, there's just a mountain of evidence that supports them.
Hmm.
I don't think there should have had to been, but even with it, people are choosing to disbelieve them, and I think that's horrible.
But yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. I think the conversation does need to be a bit less hostile. I think because I mean I get it. We've had situations like even like stuff like the Slazo thing or the Quite stuff and whatever it may be, and people are just extremely hostile when they figure out like when stuff isn't true, and the likelihood of somebody
Yeah,
lying about this is very very minimal. It's very very small. Just because we've had a couple of outliers doesn't mean we should treat every single situation like it is the outlier before we know for
yeah, and I
sure.
don't know the quite situation, but people use that as a citation for
Mm-hmm.
like not believing victims anymore,
Oh
and I
yeah.
hate that. But also, I know that Quite and Slug are in that same live stream being complete assholes, so I don't know Quite or that situation at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't trust Quite either, so I don't think he should be used in any kind of defense for that. I don't think anyone should. I think that's a horrible way to look at things, that victims shouldn't be believed because this victim was lying. This one wasn't a victim, maybe.
Right. I agree. I think it needs to be a bit more nuanced, or at the very least, people should be more kind, and be like, well, if this happened to this person, it was a lie, so why should I believe you? It's like, that's a separate situation. That's not mine. Like, treat it differently, please. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a
So,
lot of other scenarios of people being victims and not being believed. And then later on, people find out that they were telling the truth. But people
mhm.
don't cite that. They cite the one that defends the big YouTuber.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think it's a fair conclusion. I don't think it's having learned a lesson. I think it's having gained an excuse.
Hmm. Well, I'm glad that we at least had this conversation because at the very least, I know that we at least agree on the things that are at least important. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
I'm not.
I appreciate you reaching out and talking because I do feel somewhat better about where we stand and being able to clarify my own positions on things too.
Hmm. And I mean, I don't 100% agree with everything you say, but at the very least,
Yeah.
we've come to find a better understanding of each other, I suppose.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we're different
that's,
people.
yeah,
We came in with differences. That's uh, things led here that of us,
yeah, for sure.
not agreeing.
Right.
But ultimately, what matters is if there's a predator in this Brony community, they don't get to predator anymore.
True. Yeah, I mean, that's hopefully the goal of, like, a lot of these situations, right? Like, it's like, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that they are not allowed to do it again, I suppose. I mean, I don't know what efforts have to, because I mean, I don't know what the efforts would take place in order to get, other than just getting them completely removed. I don't know if that's, like, what your goal is with Black Griffin or whatever.
Like I said earlier, what I want is for people that are going to abuse their power to not have it. And I
Mm-hmm.
want people that have harmed people to be an example where they can't harm anyone anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
then people understand that that has consequences and then they don't harm people.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I have pretty much finished up most of my questions. Was there any questions that you had for me going forward, or like anything that you wanted to add? Now would be a good time to do so.
Um, I don't believe so.
Okay. Here's what I would at least advise you do, because I want you to at least have a better perspective on all the content that's been released. I'm not saying that you should do these things. I'm not demanding you do these things. I am saying that if you want to move forward, you should understand really what the criticism is of you going forward. I've watched Veket's video a couple of times just because it talks, kind of negatively about me, and I would like to know what he had to say. It's harsh. It's not nice, but it was important for me to hear. So that at least when I go into conversations with others who ask me about the video, I know what the hell I'm talking about, right? I don't want to be like, oh, this is what the video says about me, blah, 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 when I've never seen it.
I
Uh,
get that idea, but this is a random asshole.
I
Like
get that.
he put a video out and it has more important people than him in it. So people are acting like it's something worth giving time to, but I think he isn't worth giving time to. If any of that is essential to me, I will respond to it from someone who matters that's saying it. Um, if you want to talk to me about the specifics of it, either in a recording or off a recording, I will do that.
Right.
But I don't want to give him the time of day. I don't think anyone should. I will respond to every criticism if that is what needs to happen. I just won't respond to him about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that is something I guess I can give you a bullet point list for, and you can respond on your own terms. I was going to advise maybe giving it a watch, but I mean, you don't have to do it. I get it. Like, it's not nice, let's just say. And I get that it's just like he's an asshole. I don't want to give him the attention and time. You know what? Maybe you're sparing yourself. Maybe you're sparing yourself mentally from that. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe that is for the best. I don't know. But I just
I
want
think
you in.
I also do need that a little bit, honestly. Things, while I am in a better spot, it is,
Right.
you know,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people will be citing that video further and further into the future, whether that is to discredit you or whatever it may be. That I think it is important to at least give it a watch just so that you know where people are coming from. Because when someone says, something that comes from that video, and you're just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you'll know where it's coming from and you know how to debunk it, kind of thing. Like, it's better to have that in your arsenal and to at least have knowledge of what's being said than to it kind of come out of nowhere and you're like, where the fuck is this coming from, kind of thing. But, I mean,
I mean, people
if.
make up things about me all the time. And even if they're citing things about me that are true or things that are kind of true but out of context or whatever, um, I I don't think he matters enough for me to do that. I
Okay.
think that the more attention I give to him, the more he matters, and I'd rather him just continue to not.
Okay. All right. I mean, I guess I understand it from that perspective. You want to bring attention to the things that matter, and you don't want to give him any more attention that you don't think he doesn't deserve, kind of thing.
I mean, like people have criticism of me, but I think he's blatantly worse in every way. So I don't really want to say. I'm not trying to say that as smug. I'm just trying to say that as I don't understand the people that cite it unless they just don't know who it is
I
and
mean,
they don't really pick up on the nuances of like why he's doing all this.
right.
Um,
I mean, why do you think he's doing all this?
it's in the name. He's a rage baiter. He defends people that are being SJW'd against or whatever. And goes, oh, look how crazy they are. They're still going on about this situation. They still think this guy's a predator. Why won't they give it a rest? Here's their stupid fanfic. Here they're asking for money because they're poor. Why can't they pick themselves up by their bootstraps?
Okay.
He just sucks. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
He just
All right. Well, I won't try to convince you any further than I just thought it would be a good idea in future so that you can address it properly. But I mean, if that's how you feel, I can't convince you one way or another. I mean, it's a tough watch. I can tell you from
yeah.
personal experience,
Like
but
people retweet Keemstar and Drama Alert because they think that at least the information is informative, but I think it worsens everything. That the citation is that. I would rather anyone else talk about this than Killer Keemstar.
right.
And I don't want to help create another Killer Keemstar because right now it's just a rando.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if it was Killer Keemstar, I still wouldn't want to address it, but at that point, I wouldn't have a choice because they have influence.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, this person doesn't.
Gotcha. All right, fair enough. I mean, I thought I might just suggest the idea because like even I have to watch stuff that's very negative about me sometimes, and it's better to at least hear it and get it over with, and then cry about it for a day, and then be like, you know what, this
I'm
shit
fine with
doesn't matter.
it.
You know what I mean?
Like, if like I said, if you want to tell me about everything that happens, I'm very open to that.
Right.
I just don't want to give him anything.
Okay. All right. I think we're kind of wrapping up here. I'm like sore.
Yeah, no,
I
I've been
hate
sore
this.
too.
I hate this chair. Alex is right. We need to replace this. This is fucking bullshit. But that will end the recording there.